Dynamite tonight. Very much looking forward to the show. Quite a few things to go through. Obviously, you will have seen about the Vince McMahon news, and we can touch on that. We can talk about that. Obviously, a little bit more on Jeff Hardy as well. We know that Jeff Hardy is not going to be on the show, of course, following what happened and his arrest and everything. And we've also got, because it is AEW, a full breakdown of all of the various matches that we've got lined up. So it does make sense to kind of go through that first. It does make sense to kind of go through all of those matches. So let's just quickly do that, and then we can jump into whatever you want to jump into. So, first of all, we got Jericho taking on Ortiz in a hair versus hair match. This is actually a bit of a special episode tonight. I think this is Road Rager. So, it's not just a normal Dynamite tonight, which is really exciting. We actually do have a bit of a special episode, something a little bit extra. I like it when they do these specials, because they do push the boat out for them. And this is definitely a show where you can see that there is some good effort that's been put into it. So, first of all, we've got a hair versus hair match. The loser will be shaved bald. So, we've got that to look forward to. We've also got Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus taking on the Young Bucks in a ladder match. Now, of course, this is the match that the Hardys were meant to be in, and they're not because of what happened with Jeff. So, as a result of that, we have just got the two teams going up against each other, which I actually think could be better. I've said before that, for me personally, I enjoy matches that are not these multi-man crazy matches. I like it when it's just, you know, Shawn versus Razor, or Miz versus Jerry Lawler. Like, I love these kind of one-on-one matches, or a tag team versus a tag team. I will take that over Money in the Bank, where you've got 7-8 people competing. I will take that over that every day of the week, because I do find those multi-man matches, those Money in the Bank matches, they are just spot after spot after spot after spot. Whereas, and I'm sure that's what this match will be. I mean, the Young Bucks are in it, so it's sure to be spot after spot after spot. But there is a possibility of an actual wrestling match breaking out in the middle of this spot fest. So I'm actually a little bit more into the fact that it's only 2 teams and not 3 teams. So yeah, Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus taking on the Young Bucks. We've also got Will Ospreay. He's going to be in action taking on Dax Harwood, which is very exciting. Very much looking forward to that. Not normally a big fan of tag teams having singles matches, but when that person is Dax Harwood, who loves wrestling, knows the history of wrestling, wants to just put on the best matches possible, him against Ospreay is sure to be a banger. So, very much looking forward to that. The Plaintiffs against Wardlow. This is Wardlow against 20 security guards. I think this is silly. I don't know why we're doing this. This is sports entertainment written all over it. I don't know. I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I would be expecting WWE to do with Bobby Lashley, or maybe Omos. Yeah. I think what they're doing with Wardlow is just completely the wrong thing now. Now that he's moved on from MJF, for me personally, I would not be doing these kinds of silly matches where he's taking on 20 security guards at the same time. So, I'm not feeling that. We've got Ethan Page taking on Miro. This is a qualifying match for the All-Atlantic Championship, which we got a bit more clarity on. And turns out that is going to be very international. It's all going to be about your nationality. And actually, on the preview for this match, they've actually got Ethan Page and they've got the Canadian flag next to him. And they've got Miro and I believe it's the Bulgarian flag next to him. And they're really like emphasizing people's nationality. They want this to be like an international belt, which I do like the idea of that actually. Because I think what it does achieve is it does allow them to kind of get out the notion that it is a global brand and that they do have superstars from all over the world. And it'd be a fun way of, there might be some people on the card that we just, you don't really think about what nationality they are. I mean, there could be some people from Europe that I'm not aware of outside of Miro. I mean, Ethan Page is from, like, Canada. We know that Anthony Ogogo is from the UK, for example. I mean, that Anthony Ogogo competing for this title makes a lot of sense when he's ready to return. So I sort of don't mind it, I know that everyone gets a belt and there's too many belts, and I completely agree. But I like the fact this has been given a bit of clarity, and I like the fact that it's going to focus on international stars. And when you think about, like, a lot of the Japanese stars that they have come over, I mean, obviously we're seeing Tanahashi on the show tonight. We've got Ospreay, who's from England, in the ring tonight as well. I know these are New Japan stars, but who's to say they can't compete for it down the road in the future? Do you know what I mean? Who's to say at, like, All Out we won't get a New Japan star popping by and competing for the All-Atlantic Championship? It's hard to know how this relationship between New Japan and All Elite Wrestling is going to evolve. Like, is it just this one show? Is this show going to be an annual thing? Are we going to see crossover throughout the rest of the year? I don't quite know, but yeah, I like the fact that All-Atlantic Championship has been given some clarity. So I like that. We've got Moxley and Tanahashi not competing. Silly. They're doing a face-to-face. So we've got them doing a face-to-face. So we've got that, which, should be fun. It'll be nice if we get to, hear from Tanahashi. And, they would get a little promo back and forth type thing. We've got Dr. Britt Baker and Toni Storm as well. So we've got that also. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that we've got written down here. Seven matches and segments that we've got to look forward to. And I really do appreciate AEW for giving us that kind of preview, because it definitely gives us something to get our teeth into. Normally at this point, like, we barely know 2 segments of Raw, which is an hour longer. So at least this way we've got a good idea of what we're going to be seeing on the show tonight. Hasib says, have you seen the video doing the rounds of Jeff performing a concert before his arrest? It appears to be taking a shot of whiskey, saying this is his best friend and worst enemy. I haven't watched it. I don't want to watch it. And I actually, I've got an opinion on this that people might disagree with. I don't understand why that footage is allowed to be shared in the public. Like, I don't understand. I don't see what benefit it is for that footage to be out in the public domain. Now, I can understand people saying that he was breaking the law, and if someone breaks the law, then we should be able to see what they've done so that we can judge them by their actions rather than hearsay. Do you know what I mean? Like, he got pulled over. We've no idea how drunk he was. If you can see the footage, then you can make your own mind up as to how, like, drunk he was, and you can make your own mind up as to how bad things were if you get to see the footage. Like, it's a big piece of information, of course. But to me, it just seems very strange because, I mean, like, to my knowledge, we don't do that here in the UK. I mean, if a celebrity was to get pulled over because they were drink driving, they were under the influence here in the UK, I don't believe, because I can't recall ever seeing any footage that gets released into the public domain. It's a very weird thing whereby in America, like, you show like car chases on the news. Like, wasn't when OJ was like in that Bronco and that famous footage of the Bronco driving through the streets as OJ was, fleeing from the police. Like, that was all being followed live. And I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, I just don't think that's not something we would do. I just don't believe that we would go live over to footage like that. And I've never seen any dash cam footage released of, like, celebrities. The only time that I've ever seen us do something like that would be, like, for a specific show that was to, police camera action, where we have a show that kind of shows you those moments, but it's a show that's kind of dedicated to that, and it's just members of the public And it's, I mean, you never know who any of these people are. They're never named. It's just these are some incidents that happened and they get put together into like a show. But yeah, it was so weird this was doing the rounds. Like, I didn't want to watch it. I didn't feel like I had a right to watch it, or I didn't have a desire to watch it. And, yeah, I must admit, I didn't like seeing it being shared on social media. Do you know what it felt like? It felt like a man that's got a problem and an issue that he's, like, really battled his whole life with was being turned into entertainment. And it feels like people are watching it and are being entertained by the footage that they're seeing. And that doesn't sit well with me at all, to be honest. And, you know, listen, we have police camera action and those kind of dash cam shows which do the exact same thing. So they take that footage, put it into a TV program, and then it gets, you know, I haven't seen one in a long time, but, you know, they do that. But you never know who the people are. I think even their faces can be blurred out at times. And so all you're focused on is what they've done. This feels different because it's a celebrity. We know who it is. And, I don't know. People, I think, will be divided on it. Some people will be like, no, you should show it. If he's breaking the law, you should show it. And we should make our own minds up. And I can definitely understand that argument. But all I can tell you is, no, I haven't watched it. I've been sent it. I haven't watched it because I have no interest in watching it. And it doesn't sit well with me with it being shared on social media. I just don't think we should be doing that. So that's my thoughts on the Jeff Hardy thing. Well, the footage that I haven't watched and will never watch. In regards to Jeff Hardy, I just genuinely feel really sorry for him. And there is a caveat to that. There's a big asterisk to that. And the asterisk is that he could have hurt someone. He could have, you know, driving under the influence and not being in full control of that vehicle, he could have killed someone. And so my sympathy is with him and his struggles. I have no sympathy for him being arrested, and I have no sympathy for whatever repercussions are about to come his way, because he could have killed someone in that vehicle. So yeah, that's my feelings on it. It's a bit grey. I will hold my hands upon this one and say it's a bit grey. It's a little bit grey because I do understand that there is those shows out there that show that footage, but I think knowing who the person is and knowing who the celebrity is and having it shared so widely on social media, didn't like it. We have body cams, dash cams, because our police force needs to be held accountable for their actions, says Esteban. Mm-hmm. That's true as well, and I agree with that. I agree with that, but again, that doesn't need to be in the public domain, in my opinion. Like, they need to be held accountable. So if there is an incident, that would then become a criminal case that gets investigated of its own accord. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would be a live criminal case. Like, if they do something, let's say George Floyd, and sorry to get super heavy here, but George Floyd, that was thankfully filmed by a passerby that managed to get the footage of that. But if that incident had been recorded on someone's chest camera, then of course that camera would have been then used for, you know, the case that would then follow against the police. So I am in full agreement with them having this technology. No grey area there for me. They should have dash cams. They should have cameras. It should be filmed, because, you know, it'll just be he said, she said, wouldn't it, a lot of the time? Whereas here you've got, like, actual evidence that can be used in court. No problem with any of that. Just don't like it getting out to the public. That's the bit that doesn't sit very well with me. I did just see someone talking about he's had so many chances and he's still giving him chances or something. I briefly saw it on screen, and I can understand that. I mean, I can only go back to what I just said. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because it's an illness. I believe it to be an illness. I believe it that he has got an addiction, and we know that addictions, you know, people that have, like, drug addicted to drugs and addicted to alcohol and all this kind of stuff. It's an addiction. It's a problem. It's something that they have very little choice over. Like, their body relies on it. It gets to the point where the body actually needs it, and it becomes, like, close to a need. Like, the body will shut down without that. So, obviously I can't say as to where Jeff Hardy is with his substance addiction. I can't say that his body has got to the stage where it needs it, but I definitely do recognize that he's got an addiction. He's got a problem. I do see it as a disease. I do see it as being something like that. It's something that I have sympathy with him about, but I go back to my earlier point. That sympathy ends the second that he then starts a vehicle and actually decides at that point, because that is not a decision that he needed to make. It's one thing to have an addiction and for your body to need a substance that is illegal because you've been taking it so much or you're addicted to it, right? That's one thing. But it's a completely different thing to then, whilst being under the influence of that, decide to start a vehicle and actually decide to start a car. That is not something that he needed to do. And so my sympathy absolutely ends at that point. So, again, I feel sorry for him for what he's going through and the fact he can't shake this. And I understand that his judgment, whilst he was under that influence of that, would have been, not correct, not 100%. His judgment would have been, can't think of the word. I'll abandon that because I can't think of the word. His judgment was prohibited? Is that the word? But either way, he wouldn't be thinking straight. And I think that it's just really sad. I don't know, and we spoke about this the other day. I don't know how Jeff helps Jeff. I don't know how Jeff is going to get out of this because they've tried so many different things. And it's easy saying rehab when I know for a fact that there's a lot of people out there that have done rehab and it doesn't work for them. Rehab works for X amount of people. It doesn't work for 100% of people. And it seems like Jeff Hardy has gone down that road and it's not quite worked for him. So I don't think Jeff knows what Jeff needs, to be honest. But I think whatever comes his way, he's going to have to take it on the chin. Just be really thankful that no one was killed, no one was hurt during this. And I think we've got to all be in agreement that we want to see Jeff Hardy get better. No one wants to see that Jeff Hardy spiral further down into this. So just got to hope that he does get better. Vape Ross Vape said, I'm waiting on the Vince video. We could talk about Vince if you want. I would say that if you are surprised by this Vince news, then welcome to wrestling. Welcome to WWE. Welcome to wrestling. We do talk on this channel a lot about the history of wrestling, and I can only presume that you are new to wrestling because this had zero surprise for me whatsoever. Like, the fact that this is being talked about so much is the surprise to me, to be honest. If you know wrestling history, you would know that the first female referee from the 80s left because she accused Vince of sexual misconduct. I can't remember her name. She was married to one of the Killer Bees, and I can't remember her name, but she was a ring announcer from the 1980s that you see on old clips. And she used to be a female ring announcer from the 1980s, and she also left, accusing Vince of sexual misconduct. He's been known to have affairs, him cheating on Linda. I know we joke about things like that on the channel, but he has had affairs in the past. So the thought that he has had a relationship, an affair with someone in WWE, and he's paid money to hush it up, doesn't surprise me in the slightest at all. Is it right? No, of course not. Of course it's not right, and there's loads of stuff that Vince has been involved in the past, like those two examples I just gave, that are not right. But equally, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, they're known. Like, people know of these things. These things have happened, and I don't want to say they've been accepted, but they're known. this isn't a surprise to like anyone. Although maybe I'm wrong, because it seems to be a surprise to Twitter. Twitter seems to have just discovered Vince McMahon for the first time. So, I don't know. I will admit, I've seen some tweets where, like, people are saying, like, Twitter, oh my God, can you believe this news? Me, yes. Like, and I feel very much that way. Like, it needs investigating. It's hard to talk about. The rumors, the reports are that he's being investigated because apparently $3 million has been paid to a woman. She, I think, started in 2019, and $3 million has been paid to her, like hush money, because apparently she was in an affair with Vince, and so $3 million has been paid. I think, honestly, of all the things that I've heard, and a lot of the stories I've heard about Vince in the past and about WWE in the past, this one is so low down on the shock level, on the shock register. It's super low. So I feel like it's a storm in a teacup. Do you know what I feel like it is? I feel like, is it right? No. Are there worse things I've heard about Vince? Yes. Does it shock me? No. Do I think that this is going to be something that anti-Vince people are going to use to kind of bash him over the head? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is, the modern world, cancel culture, all that kind of stuff. They're going to lick their lips at this. And honestly, if there's a load of people that want to cancel Vince, and there is, that for some reason never looked into his past and so didn't know about this other stuff, they'll jump on this. And, it could turn out to be a big story. I mean, I think it's the number one trend in America right now, actually. I'm sure on the trending page, Vince is number one. But I've heard much, much worse about Vince. I mean, he's been in charge of this company since the 1980s. So it's hard to know where the truth is. Again, it's he said, she said stuff, isn't it? I mean, I have no idea if he actually did have a relationship with that female referee. I have no idea if he actually did have a relationship with the female ring announcer. My personal belief is he probably did. He probably did. So that's my personal belief, but I have no evidence. I have no proof. This one is being investigated. And it'll be interesting to see what the repercussions are. But he's going to have, whatever comes of this, like, I can see this being kind of brushed under the carpet, if you will. And I can also see Vince getting the best, I mean, he's a billionaire. He will get the best legal team possible if it was to ever get to that kind of stage. But, no, I can't, I don't know. I could be completely off on this, but I can't see anything really coming of it. I can't see anything coming off it. Vince has got that incredible ability to just weather storms. And whatever the storm is, he just weathers it. I mean, we've been through this so many times. I mean, like, he went through that whole steroid trial. And, the evidence against him, there was wrestlers saying that he had given them steroids, and steroids are illegal. And the government wanted someone to kind of say, we got this person, look, we got someone that was doing this bad thing, that was giving these wrestlers steroids. They wanted someone, and they chose Vince to be that person that they could hold up and say, look, we caught someone, we got someone. Look at what this guy was doing. And it was a massive case that completely changed WWE, because before that you had big muscular guys like Davey Boy and Warlord and Ultimate Warrior, and then as soon as the steroid case happens, you start getting Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Do you know what I mean? You start getting the smaller guys and the muscles kind of go, because there was obviously no steroids they were banned, and Vince made sure that they weren't in WWE whilst he was being investigated and going through that court case and everything. So, I mean, that was a hell of a storm that he had to ride out, and he won that case in the end against all the odds. He won. They actually had plans in place for him to go to prison. They brought, like, there was, I think all of WWE was signed over to Linda. So they brought in, was it Jerry Jarrett came in? I think Jerry Jarrett came in behind the scenes. All of the company was signed over to Linda, and there was things put in place whereby if he was to go to prison, they were gonna, like, we've been down these roads with Vince. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been down roads where Vince has been, it's looking pretty good that he's going to prison. So we've, when you've been there with someone and you've gone through the referee allegation, the ring announcer allegation, what we're hearing today of him potentially having an affair and then paying them money to keep it quiet, do you know what I mean? It's pretty low on the totem pole of all the things that he's been accused of and has been tried over and all this. It's pretty low down. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, just gonna let it play out. So you might wait a while for that video. To be honest, I'm not. It wasn't one that I was rushing to make. But I knew it would come up in conversation on here, and I'm more than happy to talk about it if that's the conversation people want to really focus on. Then I'm more than happy to have it. Problem is, this was the company's money, says Vape Ross Vape. Yeah. Now the only thing I would say to that is I haven't had a chance to really read through everything. But if it is company's money, then it would be a case that surely would have been checked with Jerry McDevitt. Vince, I don't believe, would have paid that without having it. Vince is a clever man, right? He is going to have dotted every I and crossed every T. When you've been through the kind of things that Vince has been through, and you've got the legal advisors that Vince does, then I'm sure he will have, taken the steps that he's taken, knowing that there could be investigations and everything. I will be shocked. This is what will shock me. If anything comes of this and Vince is removed or anything, I will be stunned. I will be absolutely stunned. If that's where people's minds are going right now, my mind is not there. My mind isn't there. Maybe it should be, but my mind's not there because we've been down roads much worse than this. And I know the world has changed and things that maybe could have been brushed under the carpet aren't going to get brushed under the carpet this time. But I'm sure that if he took $3 million of company's money, then there'll be something in there that they can argue that it was, I don't know, in a pool that was set aside for Vince, or who knows. There will be some kind of argument that will come back. I'm sure that will, because that's the bigger problem, isn't it? I don't think they're investigating him because it's actually happened. They're just more concerned that $3 million went out the company and got paid to this person. The reasons are largely irrelevant if it's for something that's personal, and this is obviously personal. So even if Vince hadn't had this affair, let's say that he decided he wanted a new house, and so he took $3 million for a new house, he'd still be getting investigated, and these questions would still be asked. Now Vince has surely got to know that. He's got to know that you can't just take $3 million out of the company and and no one will notice. So that's why I'm thinking that everything that he will have done and the legal advice that he will have received, I'm sure he will have had, it would be above board. Not that any part of this is above board, but I can't. If you're hanging your hat that this is going to be the downfall of Vince, I will be stunned, absolutely stunned, because this just seems like nothing. I mean, if you put yourself in that situation whereby you need some money, right? Now, he's got personal wealth, so I don't know why he wouldn't use that, to be honest. But let's say you need some money. You ain't going to take it out of the company without checking it with your legal team first. You're not going to just take money out of WWE, $3 million. You just wouldn't. Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Because he's just opening himself up to this investigation. it doesn't make sense. Things about this just don't quite add up. So, don't know. We'll have to see like what the facts are and what kind of comes out of it. But if he needed money, then I don't know why he wouldn't use his personal wealth, and why he would go into the company. And if he was using the company money, I'm sure he's got a very close relationship with Jerry McDevitt. Jerry McDevitt, I believe, is the guy that got him off that steroids case. So he's used him so many times since. I mean, you've got to think like every time that there's like stuff going on that needs legal. Vince is getting on the phone to like Jerry McDevitt, getting on the phone to the lawyers. I'd imagine Vince speaks to lawyers on a flipping daily basis. So I would imagine he's got a very close relationship with them. So yeah, I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if anything comes of this. I think there'll be an investigation, and we'll have to wait and see what the outcome is. Let's have a look. I want to make sure that we've got all the super chats and then jump into people's thoughts, conversations. Eric, hello. Eric said, my son wants your opinion on Transformers versus Predator. To be honest, I don't watch either. I mean, I've seen Predator when I was fairly young, and it was a great film. It's a classic, but to be honest, I haven't watched it since I was young. And Transformers, I haven't. I like the cartoon. I saw a few times, and I did see, like, I think it might have been the third film I got dragged to the cinema to watch, and so yeah, I'm not really best positioned to answer that. Feel free in the chat to answer if you think Transformers or Predator. If I had a gun to my head, I'll go Transformers. Sure, why not? Because Optimus Prime is pretty cool. I'll go Transformers because Optimus Prime is cooler than Predator. Fact. I'll do that. Amin said, are you excited for Roman Riddle for the Undisputed Championship? Yes and no. I'm kind of excited, but part of me also thinks it's quite predictable. I think that there ain't no way that Riddle's winning that title. I think if it felt a little bit more like it could go any which way, then I would be... If it felt like it could go like to Riddle, then I would be a lot more excited. But to be honest, I mean, it's nice. It'll be nice to have Roman on the show. I'm sure there'll be some close calls. It'll be interesting to see if like Randy comes back. Like maybe Riddle gets beat, he then gets beaten down after, and then like Randy returns. So there could be some cool stuff that comes out of it. But yeah, I think I'd be more excited if it felt a bit more 50-50. Taking money out of promotion for things isn't unprecedented. Look at Jim Barnett in Georgia, says Brenton. Gary said, Vince paid hush money to an ex-employee. I'm shocked, said no one. Well, I tell you what, you say that, but Twitter is, like, again, it feels like a lot of people are jumping on that story that don't know about like Vince. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna find out. I've seen threads on Twitter that have kind of detailed loads of his alleged misdemeanors in the past. So one of the problems that Vince is going to have is that even though this might not be the most shocking thing in the world, what it will do is it will just resurface all that stuff from the past. And, a lot of stuff will get thrown up from the past as a result. And so, yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be very uncomfortable. And it's not like I've got any sympathy for Vince because I don't even know where the truth is. I ain't bothered about him having an affair. I think it sucks for Linda. And, I think it kind of... I would say it shows what kind of a man Vince is, but I think we already know what kind of a man Vince is. It's not like Vince is a flipping saint, is it? Do you know what I mean? This is the guy that, like, fires people due to budget cuts. Do you know what I mean? Like, and he's a cold-hearted businessman. He did that interview, didn't he? And he was saying, like, if you think I'm an a-hole, well done, I am. Like, we know what Vince is. So him having an affair doesn't surprise me. Is it right? No. It sucks. Of course it sucks, and I feel really sorry for Linda, and it sucks. And he's then, gone and spent $3 million to try and, like, hush it all up, and now it's all being... But the bigger story might actually turn out to be what it all throws up, because I think there's quite a few people that maybe didn't know about all that stuff in the past. This hasn't surprised me, says Lance. If corporate sponsors are unhappy with the scandal, the pressure will be on Vince, as corporate money is important. I think Vince would know those sponsors. I don't think those sponsors will be too put off by this. To be honest, I don't think this is what would drive those sponsors away. I suppose it does depend how much pressure is being put on those sponsors. But are they gonna leave because Vince had an affair? I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna leave over that. Are they gonna leave because Vince took $3 million out? Well, I mean, look, it really is going to depend on what happened. That $3 million. What happened with it? Where did it come from? Why did he think it was all right to take it? I personally think that will be explained, because Vince McMahon is many, many things, but stupid in that regard, I don't believe is one of them. I don't believe that he would take money out of WWE without consulting his legal advisors or thinking it through, or because he would surely know that at some point there's a good chance that is going to get flagged, and there's a good point that is going to need to be explained. $3 million went out. Why did it go out? Surely he's got to know that at some point that's going to be explained. Surely. So now it's being investigated. He's now going to have to explain it. I think it will be explained. I think that it will be dealt with. He's got a legal team like you wouldn't flipping believe. Like, his legal team is insane. So, this is one of those things that I think, who knows how many times things like this have played out in the past. Who knows? He could have done this before. We could have been down this road many, many times. It's just that we're finding out about it this time, and it's leaked out this time. But surprised I'm not, and I don't see it as being like the downfall of Vince McMahon. But who knows? Maybe with what it's all throwing up and everything, and the heat that it generates, if it stays on the agenda long enough, or if the story escalates and spirals, and more things come to light, and do you know what I mean? Like, what feels like a relatively small story all of a sudden develops, then we could have a situation on our hands. But right now, where are we? You've got 20 minutes. If you want to see how Florida enables domestic abusers, read the fundraiser book about WWE wrestler Ted Hart's missing Native American girlfriend searching for Samantha Fiddler, says Flippy Flip. WWE's money and Vince's personal money is two completely different things. It is, but without knowing the details of it, it's hard to know, like, how bad that actually is, because there's many, many ways that could be explained, and that could be fine. I mean, it could be that it's come out of a pot of money that is, put aside for his expenses. Do you know what I mean? Could be put aside for that, and it could be that at the end of, like, each month he, I don't know, puts money back into it or something, so it's taken out of a pool of money that doesn't actually affect the company. It's put aside for him anyway. And, it could be something along those lines. So I really, without knowing the ins and the outs of it all, it's super hard to comment on. But my point remains that I do not believe he would have done it without knowing that it could have come to light. He's been down this road too many times before. I saw someone say why people were surprised. This is the same man that booked himself going up against God and put himself over. Well, that's true. Did you hear John Laurinaitis is expected to be fired? No, haven't heard that news. WWE Sports says John Laurinaitis is expected to be replaced. One speculated he is being set up as the fall guy. His turn in line was coming. Okay. Twitter will explode about everything, especially when the wrestling bubble is involved, says Jens. Yes. 3 million is just a drop in the bucket, says Heather. That is true. I mean, there is one thing I want to add to this, because I don't think that I've done a very good job of saying that. I feel like I did say it, but I need to emphasize it again. I am not have any sympathy for Vince in this situation. Like, if Vince is found guilty of these things and is found guilty of, some kind of misdemeanor, then he deserves everything that he gets. Like, it doesn't make any difference to me. Like, would it then become a big story? Yes, it would. It would be, it could develop into that. I don't think it will, but it could develop into that. But it is, yeah, I mean, look, because there is a side to this that is, he's been accused of sexual advances against that female ref in the 80s. He's been accused against sexual advances against the female ring announcer. There were rumours and rumblings at various things throughout the 90s as well. To be honest, one of the more shocking things is that this apparently happened in 2019. Well, if it happened in 2019, it does make me think there probably is, if there's allegations going back to the 80s, and we've got something happening now in the relative modern day, right, 2019, just before the pandemic, does make you wonder about how much activity might have been going on in between and what now might come out of the woodwork. And if it opens that can of worms, if there is a lot of stuff that now comes to light that wasn't known about before, then yeah, this could be uncomfortable and beyond uncomfortable, and it could develop into a big story. But I think right now, it's it doesn't feel that shocking to me. I didn't look at it and think, oh my God, we need to do a video. We need to. All we need to do is focus on this tonight. It was like add another one to the list, kind of a thing. WWE Vibes Pappy Chief said, did you hear Roman is appearing on one Raw this summer? This may now be a bad decision from WWE giving Roman both titles, because they thought Roman would be a workhorse for both brands. To be honest, I don't think that's why they gave him both titles. I think they gave him both titles because they needed to make this year's main event the biggest main event they possibly could. They had to try and sell out 2 nights in a 100,000 seat stadium, and so they needed the biggest WrestleMania they could throw together. They did, what more could they do? They got Stone Cold to have another match. And they needed then to throw everything at Roman Brock, and one of the things they threw at it was to have title versus title. Champion versus champion, winner takes all. And I don't think they looked at it beyond that point. I really don't think that past that point they looked at it thinking, we're going to merge the belt. We'll have Roman go on both shows and we'll have him be the workhorse. I don't think that was thought about. If anything, I think the plan was to use Money in the Bank to get one of the belts at least off of him. And so I think they only did it for WrestleMania to sell that show and make it the biggest show possible. So, yeah, I mean, look, I didn't like it at the time. I didn't think it was right at the time. I am someone that would like one champion, but not whilst we've got this brand split, because you do need that presence on both shows. And not only that, like, you need to be finding contenders for the title on Raw, and you need to be finding contenders for the title on SmackDown, and just having one person carrying the belt, it's going to be really hard for them to be working 2 programs at the same time. Or, if his attention is more on Raw, then SmackDown's going to feel neglected. If his attention's more on SmackDown, then Raw will feel neglected. Like, whilst we've got this brand split, it really feels like we need 2 champions. So, with him spending like this time away and everything, I'm sure there are plans in place to get one of the belts off him. The problem that WWE have got is that I think some of those plans probably involve Cody, and Cody now obviously is out the picture. So now that means they're having to change their plans again. And it's hard, isn't it? I mean, who is going to be the person that you're going to want to put that title on? Who is that person? You've got a safe pair of hands in like Seth. You got a safe pair of hands in Edge. It's not like you don't have options. But I think that they've had to like rethink things quite a few times. And like most stuff that happens in WWE, you know, you've got to roll with the punches. You've got to be quite nimble and, you know, go down roads you weren't expecting to go down. And I really think that's where we've gone with Roman. We've gone down a road that we weren't expecting to go down. We made WrestleMania as big as it was. Roman then took a little bit of time off, but that was all right because we were focused on Usos and RK Bro. Now, as we were building up Cody and we were building towards Money in the Bank, well, Cody has now got injured and he's out for God knows how many months. So, yeah, it's been a real spanner in the works. So, I would expect at least one of those belts to come off Roman relatively soon. I think Money in the Bank, someone having that Money in the Bank means that they will look to cash in on Roman sooner than later. I can't see them carrying that Money in the Bank for a long time. I can see them cashing it in sooner rather than later. And I think as well, there's probably a good chance that they will cash in and take one of the belts. I don't think they will keep both on Roman. I think that they'll cash in on one of the belts. Maybe, I don't know, I mean, we're going to have to see, but it could be that someone from Raw gets it. It could be that Seth wins it, and maybe Seth cashes in on Roman and gets the WWE title and gets to take it back to Raw, and then, who knows, maybe we then build Edge and Seth, and maybe that's why Edge is out of Judgment Day, because we're going to do Edge and Seth, and the title will be involved, and we're going to revisit that feud, which was an excellent feud from last year, whilst, so that gives Raw something to do. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing, but who knows? Who knows? They're constantly having to evolve and change, aren't they, as the situation evolves and changes. Brenton said, I'm all right with the 20 versus 1 handicap match because it gets him a TNT title feud smashing Scorpio Sky. Richard said, take the belt off and remember, give it to Riddle. How many ring back? I don't know what that means. Did you see at Dominion, Zack Sabre Jr. cut a promo calling Bryan Danielson out to see who the best technical wrestler in the world is? Would you be down for that at a pay-per-view? I would be down for Zack Sabre Jr. against Danielson. We've said before that there is the Bryan Danielson Award in Wrestling Observer. It's named after Danielson. Danielson said that he wants Zack Sabre Jr. because Zack Sabre Jr. has been winning that award. Danielson joking he can't even win the award that's named after him. So he wants to take on the person that is winning the award that's called the Bryan Danielson Award. So, and it is the award for the most technical wrestler. So, I mean, it's a dream match for, like, hardcore wrestling fans, fans of New Japan, fans of AEW. It's a match that I'd be totally down for seeing. It's not the match that I want the most. I would much prefer Okada versus Danielson. Much prefer Okada. And I don't know who Okada's going to face at Forbidden Door because I can't see it being Omega because he's not back. It's not going to be Hangman because that seems to be Switchblade that's going after Hangman. If Zack Saber's going to have Danielson, Moxley has got Tanahashi, then who the flip is Okada going to have? So that is going to be... I'd have to think I'd feel like Okada would be the main event. I'd feel like it would be the main event, but who knows? Maybe the title would be the main event, but there's no AEW title match. Because Moxley and Tanahashi will be for the interim title. So, that doesn't really feel like the main event to me. The Hangman against Switchblade would be for the IWGP heavyweight title. Hangman against Switchblade being the main event? No. For me, Okada against someone would be the match I'd be looking to make the main event. God, if it could be Omega, that'd be fantastic. But I just don't think it will be. I don't think he's going to be back in time, so I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think it'd be Jericho. I'm just trying to think, like, Darby Allin, it's not big enough. Darby Allin doesn't feel like a big enough name. Sammy doesn't feel like a big enough name. If it's going to be Okada against Sammy, that definitely doesn't feel like main event worthy. I feel like it probably needs to be someone that's held the AEW title. It needs to be a big name. It needs to be like CM Punk, Danielson, Moxley, Jericho. It needs to be one of those. CM Punk's injured. Moxley's facing Tanahashi. Danielson will face Zack Sabre Jr. Maybe it will be Jericho. Spoiler alert, Solo Sikoa attacks Roman with a steel chair and kendo stick on SmackDown, says Miguel. Khaled said Cody will be out for 9 months and Sasha Banks had eye surgery. She has a new hairstyle. Can I get a shout out? Khaled, shout out to you. Hope you are well. I'd very much like to see Omega versus Switchblade again. Moxley versus Okada. Moxley's got Tanahashi, hasn't he? Dynamite misses Kenny. I thought Hangman Okada. Hangman, I think, is going with Switchblade. I believe. I saw Switchblade, I think, did a promo after where he was calling out Hangman, saying that Hangman, like, you know, couldn't cut it in New Japan and so had to run off and like help form a new promotion just so that he could be a main event star. And he seemed to be laying into him to the point where it seemed like it was going to be Hangman and Switchblade. I mean, that hasn't been confirmed, to be honest. I mean, it could be Hangman Okada, could be I don't know who would take Switchblade. Adam Cole against Switchblade, maybe. I don't know, but it felt to me like we were definitely heading towards Switchblade and Hangman. Maybe Adam Cole against Okada, but if it is Adam Cole Okada, that doesn't feel big enough to be the main event. Don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think whatever they come up with is going to be entertaining, and we are going to do Forbidden Door as well. I have had people asking me about that. About, are we going to do Forbidden Door? We are, but we're not doing it on this channel. We're going to do it over on the Wrestling Escape Pod channel. There's a very, very good reason for it, right? The Wrestling Escape Pod channel is the channel that I use on a Tuesday to do the podcast, the weekly podcast that I do. We don't really talk about wrestling on there. We just literally go wherever the conversation goes. So it's pretty much just an hour of, well, who knows, wherever the conversation ends up going. It's really interesting, but the reason why I'm going to do it over there is because New Japan are a nightmare when it comes to copyright strikes. A nightmare. I've been hit with a couple in the past. Never done anything wrong, but I've been hit with a couple. Sean Ross Sapp did a sit-down watch-along just like this. No audio, no visual. He got hit with one as well. Like, they don't tend to look at what's actually in the video. If they see something they believe could be a problem to them, they just give you a copyright strike. They don't care. They don't care. They'll deal with the fallout. They would rather get the copyright strike on and then take it off after than really investigate and see, is this person, like, you know, doing something wrong. So I just cannot run the risk of that on this channel. But I'll run the risk over there because it's obviously a much smaller channel. So we will do it, but we'll do it on the Wrestling Escape Pod channel for that reason. Does Zack Sabre Jr. appear tonight to set up the match with Danielson? He could do. We know that we've already got a couple of names that are going to be on tonight's show, though. We've got Ospreay taking on Dax Harwood. We've got Tanahashi taking on John Moxley. So, we've got a couple there that we're already going to see from New Japan. Could there be a surprise appearance? Absolutely, there could, yes. So, yeah, something to potentially keep an eye out on. Fury is coming out of retirement for $500 million. Well, I actually heard that interview because I listened to TalkSport, and what he said was that he would come out, but it would take $500 million to do it, which the presenters laughed at because that is such an astronomical amount of money. I think even Tyson Fury knows that it's just beyond, I think, what is possible. I don't know that someone could get $500 million. I mean, God, maybe over in Saudi Arabia. It feels to me like it's such a number that's it's an interesting number actually, because I think if he said 200 million, maybe even 300 million, like I feel like amazingly that is workable, but $500 million I feel like is such I think he knows that it's just outside the reach of like what people would be able to get for him. But who knows? Maybe that price could be negotiated down to like 300 million. But that whole thing was really interesting today because I watched Good Morning Britain because it's always on in the morning upstairs. And they said, we've got Tyson Fury coming up. And it was really funny because as soon as they spoke to him, they were like, so, changed your mind, have you? Because he said he'd retired. And he was looking a bit confused. And the headline came up, Tyson Fury to come out of retirement. And honestly, like, it was really funny to watch because they were laying into him a little bit going, I remember you saying that you wasn't going to come back and all this kind of stuff. And he sat there and he was listening. And when it was finally his turn to talk, he said, I just want you to know I am actually retired. I want you to know that I have actually left boxing. And they looked confused and he was like, what we're here to talk about is the exhibition fights that I'm doing now. Like, I'm going to do some exhibition fights. I'm going to be doing, like, me against The Rock. That's a fight I would love to do if we can make it work. Or I'd love to do, like, me against Tyson, Mike Tyson. He's like, I want to do those fights. But me as a professional fighter, I am retired. I'm done. It's over. And they were like, oh, And you could tell there was, like, real miscommunication. And then I just happened to be listening to TalkSport, and they did the exact same thing. They even played him footage of him saying how he was retired and he was not coming back. And then they were like, so, changed your mind, have you? He was like, no, I've retired. I just had this on Good Morning Britain. I have retired. I'm coming back just to do some exhibition fights. And they were like, oh. So there seems to have been this real miscommunication. The $500 million came from TalkSport because they were pushing him, saying, you would fight Joshua. And he was like, no. And they were like, you would fight Joshua. And he was like, no. They were like, go on, you would. For the money, you would. He was like, no. They were like, 200 million. He was like, no. And he got to the point where he was like, I tell you what, $500 million. I'll do it for $500 million. But it was just a joke thrown out there kind of a number. I'll do it for $500 million. He even said Billy. He even worded it that way. So it's one of those stories, do you know what I mean, that I don't expect anyone to offer him that kind of money. And it was funny watching it, how it, like, played out. And it's funny to see you say he's coming back now for $500 million, because I saw that whole story evolve throughout the day. And the truth is, he made it very clear on multiple times he's retired, but he will come back for, like, exhibition fights. And only when he was, like, being pressed did he throw out the $500 million as, like, a bit of a joke. So, I'd love to see him come back, though. I do love watching him fight. And we'll watch those exhibition fights, whoever they end up being against. But it was funny. It was funny watching these big organizations completely getting the wrong end of the stick. Right, it's going to be Jericho Ortiz to start off the show. The two rumoured Money in the Bank winners would be Seth and Becky. WWE has 2 stadium shows to have marquee matches. Becky versus Bianca seems likely. Big women's match, which begs the question, does she need Money in the Bank? The 2 rumored Money in the Bank winners are Seth and Becky. Haven't seen that news, to be honest. I believe it, but WWE has 2 stadium shows to have marquee matches. Bianca, Becky seems likely. Does Becky need Money in the Bank? No, would be my answer. No. Do you know what? I love Money in the Bank going to someone, and this is why I keep waving the flag for Sami Zayn. I love Money in the Bank going to someone that wouldn't normally get to that level. So, in my eyes, Money in the Bank is a great way of getting someone to the main event that has struggled. You know, Money in the Bank should be won by someone like Liv. You know, Liv is just on the cusp of it. She's had 1 title match earlier this year, but other than that, she can't quite break through. Put it on Liv. I've got no problem with Liv carrying it. Or Alexa, who's been away from, like, the title scene for so long. Give it to Alexa. She seems to be struggling now to get back into the title picture. So, like, Alexa, Liv, Sami Zayn, Nakamura. These are the names that I want to see Seth getting it. Because in all fairness, Seth is going to have title matches in his future, isn't he? Seth Rollins will fight for the title again. And so will Becky. I mean, she will have loads of title opportunities in her future. So I always feel like they're a little bit wasted if they go to those people. But I could definitely see them 2 being amongst the favourites. We are up and running here with Jericho against Ortiz. The loser, it will get shaved bald. It is hair versus hair. So it should be interesting. Nice hot start as well. We've got a pretty stacked show, so we can't hang around too long. You know, with WWE, we'd still be waiting for Roman to get in the ring by now, but, well, we might have just ended the recap. No recaps, nothing. We've had entrances, both guys straight in there, straight into the hair versus hair match. And as we said, we've got quite a big Dynamite lined up tonight. Hustle for love. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, days. It's 8 Eastern here in the States. I know it's morning there. Blessings to you all. It's 1:05 in the morning here in the UK right now. 1:05. I've got to tell you, my sleep is obviously strange. I have to be awake at night. Splash there by Ortiz. No idea why you didn't hook the leg. Yeah, my sleep is really weird. I am awake at night and then I sleep in the day. And oh my God, it was hot. So hot. Kept waking up. Constantly, like, disturbed because of the heat. It's really uncomfortable trying to sleep in the day. It was so warm. So warm. So it's lovely right now. It's just lovely temperature. Nice and cool. So, yeah, it's quite nice. So if you are somewhere in the world that's experiencing a bit of a heat wave at the moment, shout out to you. We were talking about that in our last stream. Very, very hot in places here in the UK. I don't know what the temperature was in the end today. I know on Friday it's going to be in the 80s, which for the UK, as you can imagine, is very warm. Very warm. Suplex to the outside by Jericho. Ortiz is down. He's blowing a kiss out to the camera. Ortiz jumping back into the ring. Liv should be favourite to win, but looks like she is going to be in a team with Alexa. Well, she could be. I mean, that's how they qualified by being in that team. I don't think it's the worst thing for her to be in a team with Alexa. But I would prefer one of those to win it over Becky. Just because, as we said, Becky, I think, gets plenty of opportunities and will get plenty of opportunities in the future. I like Money in the Bank being a vehicle to create new stars. I feel like with Royal Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania, so I feel like, you know, a relatively big name needs to win the Rumble, and a relatively big name tends to always win the Rumble. If you go back into the history of the Rumble, Randy Orton, Triple H, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, do you know what I mean? Like, they're big names. If you actually go back in the history of Money in the Bank, the names aren't quite as big. You know, we've had Otis win Money in the Bank. We've had Baron Corbin win Money in the Bank. We've had Carmella win Money in the Bank. Like, Money in the Bank feels like the winners are a step below the winners that tend to win the Rumble. You still get big names winning Money in the Bank, though. I'm not saying that you don't still get big names, but yeah, I don't know. I just always associate it with being a real opportunity for a strong mid-carder to become a main eventer. Jericho has got Ortiz in the ring and looking for a delayed standing vertical suplex and hits it. Shows off the guns. Gotta give him credit. He's still in great shape considering his age. Kissing the bicep. If AEW had Money in the Bank, who would you pick to be the first winner? Oh, little bit of lag, little wobble. I think we're all right now. Who would I have to win Money in the Bank for AEW? I'll go, yeah, another little wobble. Temperature at the temp, it might be, I'm going to be super distracted by that now. You'll have to let me know if it is affecting the stream. I've got a little light in the corner, little box, coloured box. When it's green, the stream is healthy and good. When it's red, the stream is crashing. It keeps just going from green, amber, red, green, amber, red, green, amber, red. It just keeps doing that. So it is saying that there is a little bit of a lag, but hopefully it settles down. Well, I'll throw that out to the chat. Who do you want to win Money in the Bank if it was with AEW? My thought would be exactly what I just said. Mid-carder, get them to the main event. So I'd be looking at someone that's strong in the mid-card that struggles to get into that main event scene. So, I don't know, the kind of names that would come to mind might be someone like a Jungle Boy. You know, if Jungle Boy wasn't a tag team champion, I feel like Jungle Boy is someone that probably needs to be a solo star first. Probably needs to get away from, like, Luchasaurus, be in the mid-card for a little bit before. So maybe Jungle Boy, maybe not so much. Sammy would be a great shout, but I feel like Sammy's working his way to the main event scene soon anyway. But Sammy would make a lot of sense. Jamie Hayter, but maybe she's been a little bit in Britt's shadow a little bit too long. Maybe you could go Ruby Soho. But I feel like she might be around the title picture. God, there's so many titles. So many titles. I sort of feel like everyone's going to get an opportunity in AEW eventually. So, Max Caster. Yeah, he's in that tag team, isn't he? I feel like you'd want to give it to someone that's not in a team. Darby Allin. It's a good shout. Yeah, Darby Allin would be fine. Ruby. Yeah. Some good shouts in the chat. Lance said there is some minor lag. Yeah, it's really strange. I don't know. What I might try and do is see if I can. I might try and switch to a different router, to be honest. I'm going to switch to a different router. That's going to be all right. We've got a green light. 2 count in this one. Wardlow will have him cash in on MJF, says Dylan. Hustle for Love says, I love AEW. You're freezing on my screen. Your face is blurring out. Yeah, I've switched over to a different router, and this one actually seems to be a bit stronger, so I do have a couple of routers that I can use. Mainly because our home Wi-Fi is trash. Nice Boston Crab here by Jericho. Jericho with the Boston Crab. Middle of the ring, Ortiz trying to get over to the ropes. Ortiz gets to the rope. He makes it. And now we've got a big brawl on the outside. As Jericho Appreciation Society are jumping onto Kingston, Santana. We've got other people coming down. There's a brawl on the outside. Wheeler Yuta has come down. In the ring, we've still got Ortiz down. Big Strike's coming in. They've still got Kip Sabian in the crowd with a box on his head. Oh, Eddie Kingston. Spinning back fist. Spinning back fist by Eddie Kingston. Jericho, 1, 2. Ah! Shoulder up. That was good. That really felt like that was going to be it, to be honest. That felt like that was going to be it. Eddie Kingston jumping into the ring. Eddie Kingston jumping into the ring. Spinning back fist. He walloped Chris Jericho. Jake Hager trying to get in, but Kingston grabbing the leg of Hager. Is that Fuego del Sol? Fuego del Sol. Fuego del Sol wallops Ortiz. One, two, three. Ortiz loses. Jericho wins thanks to Fuego del Sol, who jumps into the ring and wallops Ortiz with a baseball bat. He's the wizard. He always has a trick up his sleeve, says Toni. There we go. Fuego del Sol. Is it going to be Sammy? Turns out to be Sammy. Sammy disguised as Fuego. Very good. That was done well, actually. I did think that was Fuego at the start. To be honest, I haven't seen enough of Fuego to know what his body type was like, but I believed it was Fuego at the start. And then as, like, it's focused on him on the ramp, you can kind of go, is that Sammy? Sammy sucks chance. So we've got Hager, we've got a Barber in there. Oh, I don't want Ortiz to cut his hair. I like Ortiz's hair. Ortiz is cutting his hair. Ortiz is cutting off his hair. Blood and guts. I think he's cutting his... He's got blood coming down his own head. The way that he's cut his hair off there. June 29th, Blood and Guts. Dynamite needs to call the roster and spend more time telling stories. Notice how the match took 15 minutes. Raw, SmackDown, it would only be halfway through the first match. He cut himself, he did. Yeah, he did. I feel like they missed a trick there, to be honest. I understand it's difficult because I feel like the baby faces being cheated sets up Blood and Guts really well. But I think that if they had Jericho having to shave his own head right now, that would be quite a big moment. I could see that kind of playing out on social media. Like, the clip of, like, I mean, Jericho's one of the biggest, most recognizable stars they've got. Like, Ortiz cutting his own hair is just not going to register as if, like, Jericho was being forced to do it. So I understand it sets up further down the line and don't have a problem with that. I do. It is a shame. It is a shame that we didn't get Jericho having to, like, cut his own hair there, because I think that's what people would rather have seen, and I think that moment would have played out a little bit bigger. But I can understand why they did it. As he said, it's going to set up Blood and Guts. I don't mind the Sammy thing. I think the Sammy intervention at the start was pretty cool. Or at the end was pretty cool. Wardlow versus the Plaintiffs thing. I've said before, this isn't how I would use Wardlow, but it's not the most offensive thing in the world, is it? How's this going to work? Do they all just come, like, attack him at the same time? Or is it like a tag match? Or, like, how does this work? Is it one-on-one, and then when he beats one, another one comes in? Because I'm not expected to believe he can beat 20 security guards at the same time, am I? Because just from the sheer numbers, they would overwhelm him. If it's going to be like one person steps in, has a go, then he beats them. What is it? Okay, so they swarm on him. Okay, turns out it is silly. Man United Hodge said, "Why is Sabian got a box on his head? How do you know it's him?" He's been doing it for a really long time, so I know it's him because it's been reported that it's him. And as I said, he's been doing it months and months and months. So yeah, it's not like the first time that he's doing this. He's been doing it for a long, long time. I don't know what the end goal is, but he's there. I think I'm right in saying every week in the crowd with that box on his head. Isn't his Twitter account changed over to that as well? I think his Twitter account might be changed over to it. Days, he would fight AJ. Be honest, even his wife said he would only come back for AJ. Well, I can only tell you what he said. He said after his last fight that he was retired. He then went on to TV today where they were like mocking him, like, "Oh, you're coming back," and he said, "No, I'm still retired." I mean, he's constantly saying that he's retired. His wife said that if he was to come back, the only fight that she thinks would tempt him would be the AJ fight, but I think he's been very clear and very consistent in his messaging since that he is retired. Hustle for Love said, "It's nice to see something different, GGTK." David said they need to end this quickly. Not with pinning 5 guys at once. This is painful, says David. This is sports entertainment, says LT. This is a very Bill Goldberg match, said Master Chief. Pigs can't look up into the sky. It's physically impossible. It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, like... Okay, it's still going. Yeah, I agree with you. I would let either Alexa or Liv win Money in the Bank, and probably AJ for the men's, because he's struggling to get himself in the title picture. Do you agree? Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind AJ walking around with the briefcase. he's someone that I think will get an opportunity in the future. But I do agree that he is not consistent in that main event. And actually, you can go back to the OC, and it's been a good few years. So, yep. I would actually say that Alexa and AJ are quite comparable, actually, with the fact that they both feel like main event stars to me, but neither have really been in that main event for a good couple of years now. So, yeah, the Money in the Bank could be that kind of injection to get them back into that main event scene. So, yeah, I do agree. AJ lost the qualifying match unless he gets a second chance, says Austin. He could get a second chance. There might be that. Sometimes they do that. All the losers have a multi-person thing. But I must admit, I don't think AJ will be the one that wins it. Man United Hodge said it is on his Twitter, and it says underrated and over it. Is he trying to send a message to Tony Khan? No, I mean this will be an idea that he and Tony Khan will have worked on together. I mean, I don't really get it. If it's trying to get him over, they don't even show him or mention him or anything. So I don't know. I don't know what the goal is with this thing. Right, we've got Scorpio Sky. Hustle for Love says bit odd, lol. Bit odd. Oh, Tyron Woodley in the front row. Tyron Woodley and Matt Hughes. What? So we've had Matt Hughes and Tyron Woodley get into the ring. Mark Sterling runs over. This segment is so bad. Honestly, from start to finish, this is one of the worst segments I've seen from AEW this year. I've probably seen worse. Tyron Woodley and Hughes are in the ring with Wardlow celebrating. God, thank God it's over. Thank God it's over. It's just painful from start to finish, that was. Matt is walking like that because of a bad accident. Yes. Larry said, I love that segment. Matt Hughes got hit by a truck, barely made it, and shouldn't be in the ring. I don't know why he's in there, to be honest. I don't know why he's in there. Cool ending, but lame segments. It's sports entertainment. If he retired, that means we will be getting Wilder versus either Ruiz or White for the WBC. WBC says that they and Fury said he wants Wilder to fight for it. Okay. I mean, he also said today that he's not going to give up those belts for 12 months because he's the champ and he wants to hold the belts as long as possible. And they said to him on TalkSport, so that means you are going to come back. You don't want to give up the belts. He's like, no, I just don't want. I've won the right to hold those belts for 12 months. And Simon Jordan on TalkSport was like, come on, you can't hold up the division like that. If you're not going to defend it, you've got to let other people fight for it. And he was like, no, I've won the right to hold that belt for 12 months. I've beaten all of my mandatory challenges, so I'm going to hold that belt. So any fights for his belts are not happening anytime soon. Woodley's not that tough if he got knocked out by Jake Paul, said James. Eric said, I missed the Elites booking. Zoom Station said that was worse than the WWE products. Did you hear about what happened to Jeff Hardy? Yes. I think Mark Sterling should sue himself for getting his clients hurt. Bad show so far, says Storm's Elite. Alexa for women's and the Hing General for the men's. They don't want Johnny Elite in that segment. That segment was screaming for Miz and Morrison, said David. It was a funny segment. Love how it's unexpected how things play out, so we keep watching AEW, said JC5K. Why would they get that guy that got knocked out by Jake Paul? I've nothing against Woodley, but that's bad booking, right? 20 jobbers is overkill. Wardlow needs to go back to his old theme. Brenton said, Stadium Stampede, Anarchy in the Arena, Mimosa Mayhem, Dark Order, Danhausen. It's hardly the worst segment AEW has ever done. Toni said, we'll get better at booking. Unlike Vince, Toni takes criticisms and listens to the fans and makes changes. Yeah, in all fairness, Vince hasn't got time to listen to the fans. He's getting sexually involved with his female employees. Right, here's Dax Harwood making his way down to the ring. He is going to be taking on Ospreay, isn't he? He's taking on Will Ospreay. Okay, now we're cooking. Now we're rocking and rolling. Yeah? If you've got a bit of a bad taste in your mouth after that last segment, this is the perfect flipping mouthwash. There's a mouthwash coming, and its name is Will Ospreay. If you've got a bad taste in your mouth, a little bit of Ospreay, that'll get rid of it. Here he is. Beat Santana last Sunday. He's got the Rev Pro title. Lovely entrance robe. He won the IWGP US title, but he's wearing the Rev Pro one instead. Will Ospreay bringing down to the ring the British heavyweight title, which is really cool. It's really cool that he's wearing that belt. Ospreay against Dax Harwood then. Nice arm drag. Ospreay pops back up to his feet. Lock up. And, yeah, this is a match for the fans, isn't it? Working on the arm here, Ospreay. He's got the arm of Dax Harwood. We're in the middle of the ring. Lovely ring gear, as always, by Ospreay. Crowd are into it. Ospreay flips over. There's a "Let's go Ospreay, let's go Dax" chant. Dax locking up, side headlock. I mean, this should be, I don't want to say relatively straightforward for Ospreay, but for a singles wrestler of Ospreay's caliber, this should be relatively straightforward. Nice. Head scissor takedown. Lovely work. Takes down Harwood. Goes over, grabs Harwood. Ospreay had better win this one. He is already 1 loss down, says Heather. Could you see Liv win, potentially cash in later in the night and pin Rhea to become champion, and we get a triple threat at SummerSlam? Could I see that? Could I see that? I would say unlikely. It could happen, but I would say unlikely, just because I think Liv winning is not the favoured option. I think there's probably a couple of other people that are ahead of her when it comes to who could win it. So I'd say that's a barrier. And then also, would you have Rhea beat Bianca and then have Liv cash in so we actually get 2 title changes in the same night? I'd say that's probably unlikely as well. I'd say that was unlikely. So I would say it's could they do it? Sure, there's no reason as to why they can't do it, but I would say it's probably unlikely. But no reason why they can't do it. This is refreshing and awesome to watch. I respect Dax. He's a great worker, and Will Ospreay I want to see a lot more of, says Jilly. Liv is not winning. Lacey is winning. Evans is going to turn heel on Bianca, says Junior. Right, we've got Dax over by the ropes. Will Ospreay has got Dax in the corner. Dax going hard to the other side of the ring. Ospreay charging over, up to the outside. Forearm. It's going to look to suplex Dax to the outside. Dax trying to reverse it. Shots coming in. Forearm strike there by Dax. And again, just throwing in some big chops. Harwood has got Ospreay up. Ospreay on the inside, grabs the leg of Dax. Dax comes down. He gets tangled up in the apron. Selling his knee injury. Drop kick there by Ospreay. And Dax goes hard into the ring steps. Don't go anywhere! So we are at commercial break. I'm going to choose to not watch now for the next couple of minutes because it's always slow and irrelevant. In fact, right now we've just got Dax down and we've got Ospreay on the outside being all slow whilst they actually show us what's still to come. Little graphics in the corner. I don't know if you've got picture-in-picture or not, but that's what's happening. Both wrestlers back in the ring right now. Ospreay doesn't need WWE. Miguel said there's a rumor Liv is pregnant. Probably not true. Alex says, when you get a chance to play video games, what type of player were you? A casual, a completionist, etc., etc.? Casual. I've never really played games that much. The only game, well, there's several games that I've put a good chunk of time into in my life, and that's it. Just several, really. And one of them was like a football managing game when I was young. Loved Football Manager. I mean, all it is just text and data, but it's like you have to pick your perfect team and, you know, try and win matches, and maybe your defense is letting you down, so you go and buy a new defender, and then you start getting better results, and you climb up the table. And God, I was so addicted to that. I used to try and take teams from the lowest division and get them as high up as possible. I'd spend all day just doing that, just working my way through the leagues, winning, picking up results. Loved it. That's like a dream day for me, sitting down and playing a game like that. Brilliant. But I haven't done that since I was like, no idea, 16, 15, 14, something like that. So, yeah, I put a lot of time into that. I've played a few wrestling games, of course, but I've never, other than the occasional game, I've never really spent long with them. One of the games I put a lot of time in was Borderlands. I loved that game. I loved the art style of it. Like, it was all, like, cartoony and drawn. And it's a big open world game, and you can, like, get better guns, and it's really, really good. It's a game I've got on the Switch. I bought it on the Switch, and it's got, like, Borderlands and Borderlands 2. I've played them both. But they're games that, you know, I'm quite happy to play through again. Really do like Borderlands. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, I just don't buy or play, really, any games. Nice suplexes by Dax. Lovely suplexes. Great German suplexes in the ring. And he's getting a lovely arch on them as well. Really good. Hustle for Love said it was picture-in-picture. Another great pay-per-view feature. Thank you, Tony Khan, says Hustle for Love. Jeez, get a room. This is a great match. We are, I think, back to it now. We're certainly getting some impressive action once again. Those German suplexes in particular. Dax going over to Ospreay. No, massive German. That was so big. Suplexed Ospreay like 3/4 of the way over the ring. WWF Attitude for PS1 was the GOAT wrestling game. Do you know what? I don't even know if I played that. Straight up, don't know if I ever played it. I've played so many wrestling games, so there's probably a chance that I've picked it up and given it a go, but I never owned it. 100% never owned that. So I'm just going to have to take your word for it. 2008... SmackDown vs. Raw is the one that I put the most time into. And I could never not play WrestleFest. I'm actually quite excited for the AEW game. I'm really intrigued by it. It's costing 80 million, apparently. Which I find hard to believe. But 80 million. And it's... How long have they been working on it? And what I love as well is that... I don't know the company that's making it, but Kenny Omega is not happy. I really like that. I like the fact that Kenny has got, like, you know, the video game company could easily come up with a good product and get it out to market. But what I like is that Kenny is not satisfied. And as a gamer, as someone that is, like, he's looking at it more from the player's point of view. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, like, from a business point of view of trying to get the most bang for your buck to reversed. I really like that Kenny is trying to help create the best product possible. I really think when that game comes out, I've got high hopes for it. Because seemingly Kenny's not going to allow them to release it. Kick out by Ospreay again. Unless it's 100%. Dax on the outside. Ospreay over the top. Lovely crossbody. When you see someone like Ospreay who is just so good at what he does, the stretch that he got there, I mean, like, that is just a textbook picture perfect crossbody. You could actually take a still image of that and put it in, like, a book of moves. Crossbody to the outside. It's just perfect stretch, perfect form. It just looks so... It's like he's learnt how to do every move perfectly. He's trying to roll Harwood over to... Kick out by Harwood. Shoulder up. Ospreay getting a bit frustrated here. Ospreay back up on his feet. Harwood back up on his as well. Harwood grabs Ospreay, looking for another German. Ospreay going against the ropes, but forearm to the back of the head by Dax. Dax picks up Ospreay, bounces him off the ropes. Ospreay, nice high kick there. Springboard, looking for a cutter, couldn't get it. Harwood has got Ospreay on his shoulders. Reverse runner, no. Reverse, powerbomb. Oh my god, nasty powerbomb. 2.9 there for Dax. Man United Hodge said Sabian does really slow claps. Oh, I never look at him. To be honest, I never ever look at him. Sometimes he's not even on that side. Sometimes he's on the hard cam side. So sometimes you don't even get a chance to see him. You just like certain points. You just get like a glimpse of him. At least this time he's kind of a bit more over there. Headbutts between Ospreay and Dax. Forearm strike here by Dax. Forearm strike coming back by Ospreay. Ospreay gets struck, kicked to the back of the head by Ospreay. Working on the arm, clothesline. Ospreay gets turned upside down, inside out. Big lariat there by Dax Harwood. Constantly kicking out of finishes, says Erasure Mind. This is wrestling, says LT. Over the top, picking up Harwood. Sit down, powerbomb. Executed really well again. Kick out again by Dax. Ospreay up on his feet. Ospreay springboard. Cutter. Gets it. 1, 2. Kick out again by Dax. Ospreay back in the corner. Going to go for that elbow to the back of the head, and that'll do it. 1, 2, 3. And Ospreay wins. Very good match. Can't believe they had him kick out of that. Kevin said Cody will be out for 12 months. Is that on free TV? Yes. Yes. It was very, very good. We've got Dax getting backed over to the corner. We've got United Empire in there trying to intimidate. Good match, says Aaron. Spoiler alert, Liv won't be part of Money in the Bank. She announces she is pregnant, says Miguel. Miguel, you keep saying this. Here's Orange Cassidy. Are we going to get Orange Cassidy against Ospreay? Dream match. Orange Cassidy. Alexis said, it's a brawl! Orange Cassidy making his way down. Cassidy gets into the ring. Certainly wasn't expecting this. Certainly wasn't expecting this. Will Ospreay face to face with Orange Cassidy. Dax, FTR, they all stand behind Orange Cassidy. Okay, so it looks like has Orange Cassidy joined FTR and Roppongi Vice? Is that to make it 5-on-5, maybe? Orange Ospreay would be insane. I don't think we're getting a singles match. I think they're probably going to give us United Empire against FTR, Orange Cassidy, and Roppongi Vice. So perhaps they needed to add a fifth person, and that's who they've gone and got. Dax doing the thumbs up. Right, we just got a little video package for Tanahashi and Moxley. Up next, face-to-face, Moxley. Been hit with lag. We had a little bit of lag there for a while. It said it disconnected, but hopefully it is back. I think it's really struggling tonight with maybe the warm weather. Maybe now that we're into the summer months or something, it's not happy at all tonight, is it, my internet connection? But even so, it seems to have resolved. So hopefully it's back and everything. So yeah, as I just said, an awful Wardlow segment, but followed by one of the best free TV matches you'll probably see this year. Dax and Ospreay was very, very good. Very, very good. It was had the crowd. It never got to the point. Never got to the point where the crowd were like, "This is awesome." It never. You know, and that crowd will jump to that chant quite quickly. So it never quite seemingly hit those levels. And maybe you can make the argument there's a few too many kickouts, which is why for me it's not like a 5-star match, but. It was excellent. It was very, very good. Some of the stuff they were doing, the German suplexes in particular from Dax were absolutely picture perfect. The power bombs they hit as well looked brutal. The cross body to the outside by Ospreay looked fantastic. There was some really, really nice stuff that was in there. So very good, very good. And Moxley Tanahashi face to face should be really interesting right now. Looking forward to that as well. Moxley and Tanahashi. Don't know why that's all of a sudden slipped into lowercase. Let's put some respect on the name. Boom. Hustle for Love said it is raining here really hard, but it is sunny. Does that mean you got a rainbow on the go? If you've got heavy rain but it's very sunny, that would suggest there's probably a rainbow around. You might want to hunt that out. It's not often you get to see a rainbow. Got to enjoy the little things in life, haven't you? Have we talked about the WWE board investigating the hush payments? Yes. Vince helped himself to that big piece of poo-tang pie. He's not got a choice to give them up. He can't keep hold of the belts. Well, he can. He can keep a hold of them for the next 12 months. I think he's got 12 months to hold them. And because he can always say, yeah, I'm going to fight. When the truth is, he's got no intention of fighting. Here is Moxley. Is there someone high up in WWE trying to bring down the old guards? I don't think so. I don't think so. I just think, certainly in this day and age, things like that get out. I don't know that someone is specifically leaked it out to try and bring Vince McMahon down. And as I said earlier, I don't see this being the downfall of Vince either. I mean, Vince has been through much, much worse than this. Has been accused of much worse than this. Him alleged, because you have to say alleged, because we don't know it's true, but him allegedly paying hush money to keep an affair quiet, as I said earlier, is so low down on the list of things that Vince has been accused of doing. Like, he's been accused of so much worse in the past. So much worse. That I do think that for a lot of people, their first reaction to this is like, oh, like, do you know what I mean? It's not one of like, oh my god, this is it. This is the end of Vince. Like, my reaction was absolutely not that. Here's Tanahashi. Brock would kill everyone in AEW and New Japan. Everyone in AEW, better watch out. Better watch out. Brock Lesnar's coming for you, AEW. 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 Right, well, do you know what? As advertised, they're both in the ring and they are both face-to-face. Tanahashi in the ring. Moxley. Moxley says, I've been chasing you for a long time. And finally, here you are. Hiroshi Tanahashi. I've chased you across Japan on bullet trains. I came to New Japan strong. But it's always been about you. There's a lot of championships. There's a lot of belts. But there's only one man they call the Ace. Go, Ace! But not for long. Tanahashi chant from the crowd. Tanahashi from this AEW crowd. Aren't they meant to be behind Moxley? The man deserves respect. But not for long. Moxley says he is the best professional wrestler on the planet. Moxley said a lot of people are just pretending, but I live it night in and night out. Everything is on the line for me. This is, again, for that interim title as well. I play for keeps. I wouldn't call Moxley the best, but I do love Moxley, says Austin. I am not sure the movie we talked about. William, shout out to you. Who's coming down? Jazz. Jericho Appreciation Society. Do you know what? I think that might be the start of the music for Judas, and because I always turn it down, because I just can't even. I don't even recognize it. If Judas starts, I'm like, what's this? It's a great place to be. Right, we've got Ty and Sammy have come out with Jericho. Jericho calls himself the Wizards. Moxley sticks his fingers up. Jericho said, last time I saw you, I'd just beaten you in the main event of the Tokyo Dome, talking to Tanahashi. Jericho telling the Appreciation Society to jump in the ring. And guess what's happening, guys? Guess what's happening? Guess what's happening? A brawl. A brawl is happening. Eric said Sammy is a simp for Jericho. He's still wearing his Fuego del Sol attire, isn't he? Let me introduce the newest members of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Sammy and Ty. Halfway through AEW and Raw SmackDown just finished segment 2, says Brenton. Sammy looks like a Power Ranger. What are we getting at Forbidden Door? Okay. So, 6-man tag, but a 6-man tag that's like a mixed 6-man tag. It's a mixed 6-man tag that's got like Suzuki, Jericho, and Sammy. So that's AEW and New Japan taking on a team of AEW and New Japan. Don't know about that. That seems random. Why is the AEW title out there? Punk wasn't going to relinquish it. It's an interim belt, so we're going to crown a temporary champion that will be champion until Punk comes back. Then when Punk comes back, we'll do champion versus champion to figure out who the real champion is going forwards. So it'll either be Moxley or Tanahashi that will become interim AEW champion. Who would win an AEW Brawl for All tournament? Anthony Ogogo. Heather says Sling Blade on Despy. This crowd should be kicked out of the building. Silence would do a better job, says Joel. Have I missed the ladder match? No. No, you've not missed the ladder match. That's a good build, says Jeremy. All this was to keep Tan, says Tahil. Ledge Killer, hello. David said halftime scores. As soon as you get to commercial break, yeah, which I don't think is going to be too far away. Did they remove the Hardys? They did, yes. Eric said, my unpopular opinion is Tanahashi takes the title. Okay, we've got a black screen, so halftime scores. Get in your halftime scores. Fire them in now. What do you think of the show? What do you think of this week's AEW Road Rager? What else have we still got to come? We've had the Jericho Ortiz match. We've had Ospreay Harwood. We've done Plaintiffs against Wardlow. We've had Moxley Tanahashi. We've still got Britt Baker against Toni Storm. We've got Ethan Page against Miro, and we've got Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus taking on Young Bucks. So that's what we've got still to come. 4, 8, 7, 8, 6, 6.5, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7, 6.8, 6, 7, 6.5, 7, 7, 5, 7.5, 7.5, 6, 6.75, 7, 6.5, 7, 5, 5, 6.75, 8, 7, 7, 9, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6.25. When was the last time Orange Cassidy wrestled? Can't remember. I mean, it does feel like a long time. Unless he's done some on Dark or Elevation. I would agree, it does feel like a long time ago. 7.5, 7, 8, 8, 3, 6.75, 4, 6.9, 5.5, 8, 6.75, 7, says James, 6.51, 5.8, 7.75, 5.17, 8.5, 3, 7.5, 6.51, 6.75. I find myself saying 6 quite a bit. 6 point something seems to be where we are at the moment. Maybe a 7. 6.5 to 7, I reckon, roughly is where you lot are. I feel like I'm saying that quite a bit at the moment. We'll see if the ladder match raises that score, which is sure to be the main event. Ethan Page against Miro as well. Britt Baker against Toni Storm. I mean, that's guaranteed to be fun. Britt Baker always tends to be involved in decent matches, so looking forward to that. 6.5 says Denis. 6.75 says King of Wrestling. Hustle for Love says, I'm loving AEW so far. Luke says 8. Vic Ross Vape said, if you're under 7, then you hate watching AEW. King of Wrestling says 7. I don't know, to be honest, because I think I would say that the average is 6 point something. So that means that the average person, the majority of people, are around that at the moment. I would say if you're probably under, like, if you're 5 or below, then maybe that's a little low. I think that, you know, the Dax match was great. Look, the Wardlow segment I thought was trash, so I can understand people hating on that. There are a lot of brawls. We didn't need a brawl in that thing there. That announcement as well that Jericho just made, I think, is a little bit flat. But I do think that the Dax Harwood match, as I said, was very good. The first match of the night was all right. Jericho against Ortiz. I think people probably would have preferred to have seen Jericho lose and get his head shaved. But Sammy joining is quite noteworthy. Here's who have we got coming out? I think we got Ethan Page now. So I think this is a show that has had some good moments, but a show that's had a few bad moments as well, like most shows. Tony cutting a decent promo. Did Jericho win? He did, yes. Tony looks better in gold and black than Rosa, says Alexis. James said the first 30 minutes were trash. Right, here's Ethan Page. Didn't you like the Sammy join? I think Sammy joining Jericho Appreciation Society is quite good for them. I feel like they need an injection of star power into that group, because it does feel like it's floundering a little bit. It's like Jericho, Hager, and then all the others. So I feel like Sammy joining could just give them a little bit of a boost. Here's Miro. What's his shirt say? All ego, baby. I can't even see his shirt. He's just took it off. Throwing it away. Here's Miro making his way down. AEW is sliding since Double or Nothing. Junior said, this episode writing feels forced and rushed and the crowd aren't feeling it. Wardlow segment was rubbish and the last segment was overproduced, says LB. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But I do just put the little caveat in before people think that we're just trashing AEW. The Dax match was great. And I do like Sammy joining the Jericho Appreciation Society. So, you know, and Ortiz did cut his hair, which, you know, is quite shocking. I mean, someone was going to, but it's kind of shocking to see Ortiz do it. It would have been more shocking. It's weird in a way, because I actually thought Jericho would be the one that was going to do it. So mentally, I was actually prepared for Jericho to cut his hair. But it still would have been a more impactful moment. But actually, maybe the more shocking moment is Ortiz doing it. But the more impactful moment was Jericho doing it. So we got Ortiz doing it in the end. He was like cutting himself whilst he was doing it. A bit of blood started to come down. So that was definitely something that I wasn't expecting to see, to be honest. I thought Jericho was going to shave his head. Just kind of seems like the thing that Jericho would do. He likes to be the center of attention, do you know what I mean? The idea that someone else would cut their hair off in that match and it not be Jericho, I just thought it would be him that was going to lose. Kicked by Ethan Page. I couldn't see Jericho losing his hair. Oh. No way Jericho would cut his hair. It's predictable. Oh, I'm in the minority here by the looks of it. I really thought Jericho was going to cut his hair. I thought he would, because whenever Jericho gets involved in something like this, I always feel like he wants to be the center of attention. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that in a way that I'm trying to take a knock at him. But do you know what I mean? Like, if he's having a mimosa match, he's going in the pool. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be the one that's splashing around in there. If he's having a hair versus hair match, I expect him to be the one that gets his head shaved and to see his reaction. And do you know what I mean? Like, he just always loves to be involved in that kind of stuff. He's not the kind of person that tends to shy away. I know that he's in Fozzy and he's quite rock and roll, but in all fairness, his hair will grow back, and it might have given him an opportunity to, just go shorter for a little bit and have a new look. So I was kind of thinking, Ortiz, his hair and his look, I just don't think Ortiz shaving his head just isn't something that I would have expected, or it's not something I would have thought Ortiz would have been even open to doing, to be honest. I didn't expect him to shave his head. So, yeah, I must admit, I actually was surprised. I think the more surprising one was Ortiz shaving his head. The more impactful one was Jericho. But seems like I might have been in the minority on that one. Either way, still a moment. Still something that happened on the show, which was interesting. That's why it's a good swerve. John said, as Fozzy toured England. I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. You could not pay me to go and see them. Actually could not give me money to go and watch Fozzy play. We've got Ethan Page over in the corner. I think Ortiz was bald in the old Impact days with LAX. Don't know. I thought he was going to shave his hair off and get a hair transplant, says Matt. Maybe he needed a new haircut for the wedding that he's attending. Who? Ortiz? Is he attending a wedding? I don't know what we've got here. We've actually got Aubrey just checking on the arm of Ethan Page. I don't know what that was about. We've got Miro over by the ropes. Isn't Jericho 3-0 in hair matches? God, I don't know. I don't know. Lambert showing off his guns on the outside of the ring. Can't do anything. AEW has long-term in mind, and it makes sense. Yeah, I get it. I get why you would have the baby faces do it and then set up Blood and Guts. I understand it. But going into it, I expected Jericho to lose. I think as well, Jericho losing is a much more social media impactful clip. It's a clip that plays out more and generates more buzz. You know, you could see people going, did you see Jericho lost that hair match last night? Have you seen what he looks like now? Like, I can see people sharing that image, and I can see people sharing that footage that don't even watch AEW. I don't think anyone's talking about Ortiz being forced to cut his hair, like shave his hair. I don't think that is registering at all. I mean, let's put it this way. If Jericho had shaved his head, I would have done a separate video. Ortiz has shaved his head. I haven't. So, you know, it's not made me do a video on it. Which is why I thought, they'll probably do it to create a bit of buzz as well. But, no, I mean, long term, you know, it's setting up Blood and Guts, so I get it. But still a part of the show that I took some up from. If we're looking for reasons to be cheerful. Got a Samoan drop there by Miro. We got 45 minutes to go. Michael said the show is full of twists and turns. Right, we've got... Anthony Ogogo actually had been in action on Dark. Strikes coming in by Miro. Raining shots down across the chest of Ethan Page. Ethan Page on the edge of the ring. Big forearm strike there by Miro. Tyler Rust was on Dark. Tyler Rust, wasn't that the dude that was in Diamond Mine? Face first. Miro going into those ring steps. Again, getting shoved into those ring steps. Okay, we've got Ethan Page throwing Miro into the ring. Ethan Page climbing up. Shoulder tackle, and down goes Miro. One. Just a one count. I will say this crowd is quite quiet. So there's been a lot of praise for AEW crowds, and rightfully so, because they're normally just going absolutely doolally, losing their minds, going crazy. This has been a much more reserved crowd. Do you know, I mean, like, they have had a brilliant ability at finding a way of firing up the crowd. Like, normally when Dynamite starts, the crowd are just going mental. And you're like, man, how have they managed to get the crowd this worked up? But, yeah, I would say that this crowd really, from the get-go, has been a lot more reserved. Still making noise, but just not, you know, compared to some of the crowds we've seen on quite a regular basis, actually. But Miro getting back up to his feet. Coming up next, we've got Toni Storm against Dr. Britt Baker. Nice suplex. Ethan Page getting thrown across the ring. Another suplex. Miro going over to the corner. Charging over to Ethan Page. Against the ropes. Spin kick. Miro screaming out at the fans. He's got a bit of momentum here. Backed into the corner. Dan Lambert popping up on the edge of the ring. Strike. Lambert goes down. Kick. Ethan Page goes down. Miro looking for that. Is it still called the Game Over? And there we go. He gets put away. Miro wins. Is the game over normally that way? I thought the game over was like the accolade. There, he seemed to have like a bit of a... He wrapped his legs around him and had him in like a rear naked choke. Still looked really cool. They were pumped for the first match. Dax Ospreay, they were chanting during the head-to-head. Only during the Wardlow match was it quiet, says Kyle. I disagree. I think they've been quiet by usual standards throughout the whole night. As we said, if you think that an AEW crowd would quite quickly get to a "This is awesome" chant, and, you know, they were definitely involved with Dax and Ospreay, but compared to, like, a red-hot AEW crowd that... I have to say, they do a very good job of getting on a regular basis. It's not like we've had that just a couple of times. It's quite often that we get like a really good, passionate crowd. It actually feels, again, it's not a knock, but it just feels noteworthy when the crowd is good, not great. Because the crowds are normally one of the big talking points. You go, man, and they really help the energy of the matches as well. So, yeah, they've been involved in the show. This isn't like they're sat there completely quiet, not engaged at all, dead. It's not like tumbleweeds blowing through. But compared to what we've seen in the past, I would say this is below par. But Britt Baker's coming out now. I'm sure they'll get involved in the main event ladder match. Jamie Hayter making her way down also with Reba. The crowd is key. The more the crowd reacts, the higher the show's rating, says Michael. St. Louis is not usually a good crowd. Any AEW crowd is better than WWE crowds. Oh, I don't disagree. That's why it is worth just being nice and clear. Like, this is still a good crowd. Do you know what I mean? They're still involved. Absolutely. For anyone that's not watching, it's not like it's tumbleweed out there. I think it's just like they hit that like Chicago market quite a bit, don't they? And that is just known to be like really passionate. I think the Miami crowd is normally really, really passionate as well. I think they just have some really good markets that they go to on quite a regular basis. Going in for clothesline, and we are underway nice and quick. We've got about, 39 minutes to go? 39 minutes to go. I'm glad Britt didn't come out with her Owen Hart belts. Austin said, I'd be surprised if Toni loses to Britt Baker again. Higurashi says, I'm enjoying it so far. Toni's music sounds like the band Heart. Straight to the back here by Britt as Toni goes down. Still to come, the AEW World Tag Team Championship ladder match. That's going to be our main event of the evening. Speaking of AEW women, have you read the stuff about Thunder Rosa sandbagging during her matches and Britt Marina Shafir liking the tweet agreeing? No. What's the situation in that? Is this a tweet that Thunder Rosa has sent out today, is it? Seems to be a bit of drama in that women's division, doesn't it? I heard Thunder Rosa was unhappy she wasn't being used more. Here's Thunder Rosa coming down now to set the record straight. Since her AEW World Title defense against Marina Shafir, Thunder Rosa has faced accusations that she sabotaged their match. Shafir and former women's champion Dr. Britt Baker seemed to support that statement, which helped bring past incidents Rosa was involved in back into the spotlight. During an appearance on the MMA Hour, Ariel Helwani asked Thunder Rosa about the situation. The clip comes from the show after the champ delivered a promo about how she's got a chip on her shoulder as the first Mexican woman to win a title from a major promotion, who's succeeded despite not fitting the mold. No, the sandbagging accusations aren't true. I have nothing but respect for my opponents, nothing but respect. For anyone that dares stand in the ring, I have nothing but respect. I send them nothing but blessings. Moving on forward, I will continue to work harder, bring the most opportunities to women that are behind me so that when they step in the ring, people are going to talk, and that's fine. I'm not worried about that. I will continue to move forward. I will continue to show with my body of work what I am about. I have respect for my opponents. Every single opponent I meet in there, every time we've been in the ring, we've been fine. We've had great matches. It might be something to that. There might not be something. To be honest, it might be that, if Britt and Marina might have liked it just to have got a bit of conversation going, I don't know. Hard to know where the truth is on that one. It was not a great match, was it, between Thunder and Marina Shafir, so hard to know, to be honest. Marina liked the tweet, apparently. What trade would you like to see amongst AEW and WWE? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I don't really spend much energy or time really thinking about these kind of crossover things. I don't know. I feel like it would... I feel like you have to look at it from the point of view of what do both companies need. So WWE needs someone that's going to be engaging and really can go into that kind of main event scene. So I think I would take Wardlow, because I think Wardlow has got good size. He can go in the ring. He can cut promos. I'm not enjoying his booking at the moment since the MJF stuff. So I think that... taking him and putting him in WWE would be very interesting, because I think Wardlow is the kind of person Vince would really get behind and would really put the machine behind. So I like... I'd take Wardlow. Who would AEW get in return? What do AEW need? They need someone that's going to bring like some ratings, don't they? Really, they need someone that's going to create a buzz. Who would bring ratings? I mean, obviously Roman would. Brock would. But I can't see Wardlow-Brock swap being fair. So, I don't know. Maybe you might be able to do... I mean, AJ would be interesting. There's a lot of history. Finn Balor would be interesting, but they are finally doing something with Finn Balor. So... AJ's got a name, though, hasn't he? But is it a big enough name? Is it a big enough name? Maybe Sasha? Maybe Sasha? Maybe Sasha's got a big name, hasn't she? And bridges are burnt there, seemingly. So we could have Sasha go to AEW. I mean, that would be a hell of a boost for their women's division and a boost for AEW in general. And Wardlow goes to WWE, and I think he's someone that Vince would really get behind, and I think could do quite a good job with. So Sasha Banks for Wardlow. That's the switch I would do. Is it even? Probably not. Probably not. Sasha's a bigger star, but because that bridge is burnt anyway, perhaps it would be achievable. Well, it's probably not achievable. Vince doesn't want to lose Sasha. He doesn't like Sasha at the moment. Perhaps he tried to make sexual advances on Sasha and she turned him down. Perhaps Sasha is the one that received $3 million. Who knows? Right, DMD, Britt Baker, looking for the finish here. No. Suplex by Toni Storm. Toni has got Britt in the middle of the ring. Ooh, a little pile driver there. 1, 2, 3. Wow, Toni pins Britt Baker clean. Wow. Toni Storm beats Britt Baker. Didn't see that come in. Toni Storm beats Britt Baker. She just gave her a little pile driver. Here's Thunder Rosa. Man, that pile driver looked a bit brutal. Thunder Rosa pointing at Toni Storm. Thunder Rosa against Toni Storm. A storm is coming. Charlotte needs to retire from pro wrestling, says Larry. Okay, so we've got I can't remember what his name is. Something Stokely. Willow Nightingale. Willow said she's trying to prove herself. I want to accept Jade's open challenge. She seems to have a bit of personality about her, though. Hangman coming out now. Here's Hangman. Hangman making his way down. Stokely's former flame. Stokely Hathaway. Stokely Hathaway. Not a fan of it. I feel like it... I mean, it might be his actual name. But, Stokely Hathaway. I'm so programmed by WWE, I can only cope with one name. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be like Butch. Cesaro. Theory. I can't cope with Stokely Hathaway. It's too long. WWE has ruined me. Vince has ruined me. Right, here's Hangman. Cowboy shiz. Cowboy shiz. Cowboy shiz. Okay, so is he going to face Okada? Jay White called him out, though. By Forbidden Door, he might not be champion. And Okada lost that championship. The challenge still stands. Okay, so is this Adam Cole? Is it going to be Adam Cole against Okada, do you think? And Hangman against Switchblade? If anyone will challenge for it, it'll be me, says Adam Cole. Forbidden Door is about the Undisputed Elite. Adam Cole, Jay White is the best way to highlight that title. Okada won't be there, according to Adam Cole. So Okada won't be there. Is that how they're going to break that news? IWGP World Heavyweight Champion is in the ring. Switchblade Jay White. Cole couldn't be the IWGP champ when he was still in Japan. Let that soak in, says Heather. I think the Vince situation led to Steph and Triple H stepping away, says Cypher. Triple H hasn't stepped away. Triple H is doing the nil thing. Next in line. So that Triple H hasn't stepped away. Steph has stepped away. I don't see what the connection would be, to be honest, as to why she would do that over this. Right, what have we got here? Jay White in the ring has laid out Hangman. I've got the prize. I hold the power. This is the Switchblade era. So he's not going to face Adam Cole and he's not going to face Hangman. Who's he going to face? Kenny. Tony Khan. He's going to face Tony Khan. Tony Khan. Tony Khan. Tony Khan. Na 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 na. Switchblade standing on the entrance ramp, posing right next to Adam Cole, who does nothing. You'll do nothing, mate. Switchblade standing right next to him, celebrating, and all Adam Cole can do is, like, scratch his head. Did nothing. Doesn't he know that in wrestling, if you want a title opportunity, you just beat up the champion? He was right there. Push him off the stage, you'll get your title shot. Push him off the stage. You didn't even need to hit him, just push him. He would have fallen off that little ramp thing. You could have got your title match. These wrestlers, eh? Oh, what are they like? It's gotta be Kenny. I love how the spooky knife pervert screwed Cole. This is too good, says Heather. Hangman looks awful, says Lance. Larry said AEW needs to do a unification title match. Between what? Oh, what belts? Which ones? All of them. We'll just have one mega champion. That's the women's champ, the tag champ, the trios champ, All Atlantic champ, TNT champ, FTW champ, Ring of Honor champ, AEW champ. Jaden said, I think this is not a great Dynamite by any means. I feel like they killed Hangman. I feel like they killed the main event because that would have been decent. All that unification works well in WWE. I don't really understand what they're doing, to be honest. I think that's just I think it's just left confusion that needs to be cleaned up next week. How many times can I say this? Okada Hurt is back in the New Japan Cup last year. He's not been 100% since. Why don't people see that? Well, I think it's because, like, he fought at the weekend, and this is such a big show that maybe people think that he or expect him to be on it. If he's currently an active superstar who has been carrying the belt and has just dropped the title, then this is such a big show that's going to be a big opportunity for New Japan to kind of break into the Western world even more and be exposed to a big audience that doesn't really know much about them. Sort of feel like Okada would probably be involved. I was expecting him, but apparently not. I mean, Adam Cole's come out and said he's not going to be a part of it unless it's a swerve. But that'd be a shame. That'd be a shame if he is injured and he's not a part of it. Here we go. We're going back to Dynamite. We got the Young Bucks. If Kenny comes back, that's cool, but the main event with Okada would have been amazing. If it's going to be Switchblade against Kenny, that'll be a great main event. And maybe, like, if what Heather's saying means that Okada can't be there, maybe we can just get it, like, some point down the road. It is a shame. It really is a shame, because as soon as they announce they're doing a show with, how the hell, what am I doing here? Luchasaurus. As soon as they announce they're doing a show with New Japan, my first thought is, who's Okada facing? Which might be wrong. Maybe my first thought should be, who's Ospreay facing? Who's Tanahashi facing? But I do think about Okada first. And he might be facing time off, surgery. Right, we've got the Bucks in there, and we've got the title suspended above the ring. Bucks suck. Mint said, after the stream, check Twitter. Why? Is it about the Vince stuff? 'Cause we have discussed that. Lots of pyro. Did you enjoy doing your toy hunt for the Fortnite items? Have you ever thought about doing more than what you did? Especially The Rock is technically a part of it now. I did it because at the time of doing it, we were like really heavy into toy hunts, figure videos. It's a little bit actually like now where, if there's a big boxing thing or something, people will be like, oh, are you doing this show? And it might not have anything to do with wrestling or UFC. Like YouTubers versus TikTokers. People were like, oh, are you doing this? And it's kind of connected, but it's sort of not also connected to like what we would normally do. But when you're kind of in that area, people are like, oh, you're doing this, oh, you're doing that type thing. I got, at the time, loads. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I mean, like, if you actually look at the views, if you actually look at the most viewed videos on this channel, a couple of them are for Fortnite. And that gives you an idea of, at that time, how many people were asking for Fortnite toy hunts, Fortnite figure videos, and all of that. And I was like, yeah, we can look at it. So I did a toy hunt looking at them. I was actually quite impressed with the figures themselves. And yeah, did I enjoy it? I did. It was something a little bit different. Yeah, it was something a bit different. But the only reason I did it was because of how many people were asking for it at the time. So the reason why we've not done any since is it felt like the interest in it was quite intense at the start, and like most things, completely fell off immediately straight after. So would I consider doing it now? Yeah. But I would need to have, you know, a lot of people asking for stuff. And it just, no one's asking for it anymore. Jungle Boy with head scissors and trying to climb up. We got 16 minutes to go. Jungle Boy going against the ropes. Climbs up the ladder quickly. Forearm strikes. We got Jungle Boy and Matt Jackson on the ladder. Matt's face first. He helps Nick get up there. Jungle Boy goes down. Here's Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus jumping into the ring. Kick to the midsection. Another kick coming in. Young Bucks have got this ladder, and they're going to look to drive it into Luchasaurus. He ducks underneath. He kicks the ladder away. Jungle Boy. Flatliner. Jungle Boy charging over. Gets dropped on the outside. Top rope enziguri. Luchasaurus has got Nick Jackson. Okada's wife is going to give birth soon. Christian turning heel on Jurassic Express tonight. Speaking of toy hunts, figure videos, how is that figure database coming on? You mentioned a few streams. It's coming on really well, actually. So right now, I've got every elite, every basic, every battle pack written into a database. I've got probably about 20% of all of the ring attires that the figures are based on in that database as well. And elite-wise, I'm almost done with like scoring them all out of like 5. And also like putting down like all the, like as I said, like having all the shows and everything. So it's oh God, it's honestly so much work's gone into that. So much work's gone into that. But what it will allow me to do is very quickly go, what are all of the Orton figures? What are all the Hogan figures? What are all the Bianca Belair figures? What are all the figures from WrestleMania 2? What are all the figures from SummerSlam 95? What are all the figures from SummerSlam 97? What are all the figures from... And it will just very quickly allow me to access that information. So, yes, it's ever evolving. It's not something that will be finished anytime soon. In fact... It may never be finished, because as long as Mattel keep making figures, it's going to always constantly need updating. Oh, head scissors to the outside, but it is coming on. And certainly am hoping to bring some figure videos to the channel. Power bomb to the outside. Jungle Boy goes through a table. Jungle Boy has got Nick Jackson, and we've got a Canadian Destroyer. Kick coming in there by Nick Jackson. Luchasaurus over by a table. Nick Jackson is going up. Luchasaurus has climbed onto a table of his own accord as Nick Jackson splashes to the outside. So we've got multiple people going through tables. Jungle Boy has gone through a table. Luchasaurus has gone through a table. No idea why Luchasaurus decided to lie down on that table of his own accord, but he did. Hustle for Love said, I'm loving this main event. Ledge Killer said, I'm watching AEW Dynamite. Everything looks so staged in a Young Bucks match. This is awesome from the crowds. Right, we've got one of the Bucks getting into the ring. We got Jungle Boy getting into the ring. We got Matt Jackson setting up a ladder against the ropes. It looks like it might be a wooden ladder. So they're just showing some of those table spots again. Right, we've got Jungle Boy on this ladder. Crashes onto that ladder. That ladder, I thought, was made of wood. I thought there was a chance that ladder was going to break then. It didn't. And they are setting up some tables on the outside. They're stacking some tables. We've got 2 tables on top of each other. Trying to set up another table as well. That table just exploded. Brent said, how many figures are in the database? Cornette mentioned that one thing Midnight Express meeting Vince in the 80s was their action figures. Yeah, I've only gone back to Mattel. Mattel have made so many. I've just included those. But to be honest, there's already lists that exist for those kind of figures. I could already get that information. But because the Mattel one is ongoing, it's really weird. There is information out there about the attires, but it's quite limited. And there's information out there about the different series, but again, it's not complete. And to my knowledge, there isn't a database that kind of pulls it all together. So what I've been putting together and adding to and researching myself, to my knowledge, doesn't exist anywhere else. But no, I've just kept it Mattel. But I feel like maybe not on that scale, but there are databases that already exist. You can actually get books of figure checklists for like the old figures. And yeah, I did hear that story about them meeting with Vince, and apparently that's all they spoke about, wasn't it? Was the figures. He also said that they didn't realize like how much they were actually making, and like the Iron Sheik was getting crazy amount for the figures from the 80s. Jungle Boy looking for springboards, moonsault, and super kicks by the Bucks. Jungle Boy rolling out the ring. Kick coming in there by Luchasaurus, and again another kick. Hear me out. Jungle Boy will go for the titles. Then Christian will throw Jungle Boy through the tables, says Jessam. Hustle for Love. Shout out to you, my friends. As we are getting a moonsault. Luchasaurus moonsaulting onto the Bucks as the Bucks go down. Luchasaurus grabbing a table. We've got Malachi Black from Netherlands taking on Penta from Mexico. Next, I don't know if that's Friday or next week. There's a trios match. Ospreay and United Empire taking on Roppongi and Orange Cassidy. Right, we've got ladders getting set up. There's one ladder that's balancing on the ropes. There's another one that's just been opened up in the ring. Right, we've got... is it Matt Jackson on the back of Luchasaurus? And Luchasaurus is climbing up at the moment. 1 Minute Wrestler, shout out to you. Wrestling with Art, hope you are well, buds. Would you look at getting the new AEW Tops cards? Maybe the autograph ones. I wouldn't go into anything that's not signed. I've got quite a nice little collection of signed cards which I keep thinking of doing like a live stream about, because I know it might not be the most interesting one, but there are some really cool signed cards that I've got in my collection. I've got like a Vince McMahon signed card that's actually signed by him. Undertaker. I don't actually have any AEW ones. So I would be definitely open to getting some AEW signed autograph cards. But like the actual just collectors, tops, normal ones, I don't tend to go in for those. I feel like they were a thing that made a lot more sense before the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to talk about the Young Bucks, or wanted to talk about a wrestler, Demolition or whatever, you didn't have a mobile phone where you could just get a picture of them, or the internet where you could read articles on them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you might have a magazine or something, maybe, that you could reference, but, like, going through and, you know, showing off your different cards to your mates, like, I saw there was a purpose to it back then. Now, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know quite what purpose they serve collector's cards now. Autographs make sense to me. People collect autographs. But, like, just collecting different pictures of wrestlers. It's cool. I ain't got nothing against it. It seems to make a lot more sense to me before the internet. Rookie cards, though. They make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, the rookie card of someone, I mean, they go for crazy money, don't they, in sports? I mean, there's a big market for it. I feel like cards were very collectible before the internet. And I feel like because they were so collectible, it's just sort of carried on. Even though, I don't know, it's not really needed now. But, like, rookie cards are obviously highly collectible. If you can get, like, someone's rookie card, first card, and it's in, like, mint condition and it's centered and all that kind of stuff, if they go on to big things, it can be worth something. JR said there's only so many suplexes and only so many times you can land on the back of your head before it catches up with you. Strikes coming in by Jungle Boy. Big chops. Bucks are going to be the new champs. Trying to climb up. We've got both the Bucks trying to reach. No, they get pushed. They go into the top rope, but they push the ladder, and Jungle Boy goes into that top rope. Everyone's down. Everyone spills out of the ring. All right, we've got a ladder that's been set up. Thunder Rosa against Toni Storm has been booked for Forbidden Door, so they are going to do AEW versus AEW. Luchasaurus had one hand on the belt. Looks like Luchasaurus is going into that tower of tables. Luchasaurus goes through the tables that were set up on the outside. We got both the Bucks in the ring, and we got Jungle Boy in the ring. Forearm strikes. I think Nick is bleeding, says Ron. Jungle Boy trying to climb up. Young Bucks at Forbidden Door. Okada versus Jungle Boy, said Long Beach Hippie. Bye-bye, said Mr. Jacob Goat. Yeah, Nick is bleeding, you're right. Blood coming down his nose. I don't know quite when that happened. Here's the Bucks both climbing up. Looks like they're going to get him. And they've got him. Young Bucks win. Young Bucks have won the titles. And is that Christian's fault? Christian was the one that put them in that match. Young Bucks are the new AEW Tag Team Champs. Young Bucks are 2-time AEW Tag Team Champs. There's Christian. Christian has come down. Chris said Days collects dirt. I do have a plaque of dirt on the wall, yeah, from the Boneyard match. It's true. It's true. Hustle for Love said, do you think Toni will collab with Vince? No. But then saying that, if you'd have asked me that about Eric Bischoff, I would have said no. And then look what happened there. So, Chris, shout out to you, bud. Hustle for Love, shout out to you. It's gonna be, do you know what? It's going to be really interesting. Genuinely, really interesting to see what people score this show. We've got Christian down checking on Luchasaurus. Jungle Boy in the ring. What do you score AEW Dynamite? Right, this could be interesting. Christian getting into the ring, going over to Jungle Boy. He's checking on Jungle Boy. He's helping Jungle Boy get over to the ropes. Oh, there it is! There it is! There's the turn! Christian turns! Kill switch on Jungle Boy! There's the turn. There's the turn. There's the turn. Kill switch on Jungle Boy. Yeah, great. Great, it needed that. It needed it. I said last week, why would he put him in like this match? I wanted Jungle Boy to be annoyed at being in it. I wanted Luchasaurus to be annoyed at being in it. I'm so tired of seeing babyfaces just accepting that the odds are against them and they'll defend their titles. And with Christian turning, you know, it makes sense. He wanted them in this match. He wanted them to lose their titles. He wanted, you know, to cost them the belts. And I think so. I think it's the right time to do it. What's he doing? He's getting something out of his jacket. He's got his Christian Cage top on. Takes his jacket off. He lays it over the face of Jungle Boy. Christian standing tall at the end. I think that's going to bump the scores. I think that will bump the scores, and I think it's exactly what they need, actually. It's exactly what Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy need. I think their title reigns had been quite flat. Actually, we can actually see here, we've still got coverage. We've got Christian going over right now. Oh, it's gone off. Christian going over right now. He's kneeling down, look, shouting at Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy is still down on the ground. This is footage that I don't think you lot are probably seeing in America. This is like Fight TV exclusive footage as Christian comes over to the ropes. At the moment, Christian is getting out of the ring. Jumping out the ring to the outside. We've got, is that Jungle Boy's sister and Jungle Boy's mom are sat at ringside. Jungle Boy's sister just gave a middle finger to Christian. You raised a piece of... Jungle Boy's sister having a go at Christian. Christian saying to Jungle Boy's mom, you raised a piece of... Christian walking away. There's boos inside the arena. This is the bit that's good. This is the bit where Fight TV is good to have. That you get to see stuff that you know other people can't see. Or that has gone off air. I mean, we ain't seeing much, in all fairness. We've just got Christian going up the ramp. Hustle for Love said, predicted it last week, Christian will turn heel. Luchasaurus in the ring, Aubrey in there as well. No one, crowd are still there, you know. Crowd haven't left. They're rolling Jungle Boy out of the ring onto a stretcher. What you would expect. And I think people are now starting to make their way to the exits. So certainly nothing will happen now. There won't be any beatdowns or anything, but it's kind of interesting seeing Christian jump out and berate Jungle Boy's mom and sister. Imagine if Kenny Omega comes back now. Oh my god. Oh my god. Imagine if Roman Reigns comes walking out now. Ah! That'd be amazing. Then Fight TV would be worth it. Guys, they are taking the apron off the ring. The apron has been removed. That man has stolen the apron off the edge of the ring. That is a fact. That is a fact. He's took the apron off. A towel has just been thrown into the ring. There is a towel in the ring. The thing has come down. The thing that held the belts it's come down. And a man is in it. God, I hope they raise it now. That'd be hilarious. But the man has unattached the thing that held the titles. Do you know what? They are not wasting any time. Jungle Boy is still lying down in the ring, and they are taking everything apart around him. They're like, yeah, bring this down. Bring this down. Right, let's unhook this. Send it up, John. Send it back up. Yeah, they're dealing with him. It's fine. Send it up. Scott, do you want to get that ring apron off, mate? Get that ring apron off. Tony, start taking off the turnbuckle. No, it's fine. It's being dealt with. Take the turnbuckles off. John, do you want to get the old ropes going, do you? Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go, please. If you want to go. Yeah, it's fine. He's got the paramedics with him. It's fine. Yeah, start stripping down that ramp. You might as well get that ramp stripped down. Get these railings away as well. They're like starting to pack around. Poor Jungle Boy's desperately struggling for fresh air and trying to get a breath on the ground at the moment. No, it's fine. He'll be fine. We'll take this down. Do you know what I mean? We need to be on the road in about an hour. Hustle for Love said, you think Edge, Gangrel, and Christian? No. Christian's under contract, innit? And I don't know how long his contract's for, but I mean, look, they're going to start doing stuff with him now, right? Him being with, like, Jurassic Express is him just kind of, not on the back burner, but him building towards his next big story. I don't think they had anything for him for a while, so they used him as the Marco stunt replacement and built up, like, you know, a relationship so that when the turn came, it had a bit of impact. It's good. It's fine. But now we can start doing some stuff with Christian again. Now that, you know, he's turned heel. So, yeah, fine. I quite into that story. That is gonna engage me more than anything Jungle Boy Luchasaurus has done in quite a long time, to be honest. So I think they needed that. I needed that because it's gonna make the show more enjoyable. But no, he's under contract. I don't know how long for, but I can't see him going to WWE. Jungle Boy has got kids, damn it. Sonny, shout out to you. Dropped another point for me. Oh, what? Your score went down because of that. I agree. I think at halftime, this thing was like... I think I was about 6 at halftime, to be honest. I enjoyed the Dax match. I enjoyed the Dax match. I enjoyed that Ortiz had to cut his hair. The Wardlow thing was very poor. The Jericho match was so-so at the start. Crowd were a bit flat. This did feel like a Dynamite that was struggling. But I have to go back to that Dax match being very, very good. So, yeah, a lot of people were like 6.5 to 7. I was about 6 to 6.5. I would have put me roughly in that area at halftime score. Then I feel like, you know, there wasn't really much that kind of moved that dial. And main event is never going to be to my taste, is it? You know, spot fest just isn't my thing. But I do like that turn at the end. So that has definitely boosted my score a little bit. So I'm going to say that this thing just held firm for me. I'm going to say it held firm. I'm going to give it a 6.5. That's going to be my score. I think if you're higher than that, I understand because you probably really enjoyed the main event. Whereas the main event to me is just, it's not my thing. These spots, spot after spot after spot, is just not my thing. I don't care if you're Young Bucks. I don't care if you're Usos. I don't care if you're Roman Reigns. I don't care who you are. If you're going to be in these matches that's just spot, it's just not my bag. Yeah, do you know what? I think JR was getting a bit fed up as well. He made that comment of there's only so many times you can get dropped on your head before it, starts having an impact. And it maybe I read it wrong, but it felt to me like he was saying these guys are doing too much. Like, they're dropping themselves on their head too much. Like, there's no selling here. None of these big crazy spots that we're seeing are having any kind of consequence. Like, you're seeing some mental stuff on the outside. And they'll just lay out there for a little bit. And then moments later, they'll run into the ring and boom, we're on to the next spot. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. But plenty of people love it. I mean, AEW is built on those matches. We've seen Lucha Bros doing those kind of matches for years. We've seen, it is the Young Bucks style, so we've seen them doing it for years. We've seen Sammy doing it. It's just part of the style, innit? But that is one of the parts of AEW that I've always sort of struggled with. But yeah, it's all right. It's an all right Dynamite. In the end, love that turn at the end. I just think that's going to breathe life into Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I think that I wonder if that will lead to a split between them. I mean, they've been together since the start, and Jungle Boy at some point you think is likely to go solo. And I wonder if this could be the vehicle that does that, because unless Christian's going to go out and get a tag partner, which he could do, and I don't know who that would be, but unless he's going to go out and get a tag partner, we're probably going to see Jungle Boy against Christian. We're probably going to see Luchasaurus against Christian. And there's probably going to have to be singles matches. I'm sure that Christian will go and get someone. I don't know who it would be, though. Don't know. Marco Stunt. He'll go and get Marco Stunt. It's going to be Christian and Marco Stunt taking on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Dream match. Reports coming from Twitter and Sean Ross Sapp say that Jungle Boy was bleeding. Toni came out and looked stressed. Apparently the chair hit him a lot more than first. Well, I was watching live and I can tell you that there wasn't that much concern because they were literally taking everything down around him. So, I don't know. I don't know if Toni was maybe just off camera. So, maybe. Hustle for Love, Edge is under contract. He's not going to leave. Dax and Ospreay is amazing. 6.5 is a bit harsh. Yeah, but if it's one of the only things that you really enjoyed, is it harsh? I mean, there's other things that happened on the show, but for me, and as I said, I think it was a fantastic TV match, but can't go giving the show like a crazy high score just because of one match. I kind of felt like there was other things on the show that was fine, but I don't know that there's much else on the show that moves the needle for me. And as I said, I actively did not like that main event. So as much praise as I can heap on that, and Wardlow segment is one of the worst segments I've seen this year out on any TV show. I thought the Wardlow segment from start to finish was rubbish. So, you can heap praise on Dax and Ospreay, but then do you not take some of that praise away for the Wardlow segment? And the main event was not to my taste either. So that explains as to why 6.5. Brenton said, do you enjoy other sports besides soccer, cricket, like American football, baseball, basketball? I'm asking because jerseys are used for collections along with cards. I'm into most sports, to be honest, but actually sitting down and following sports, I I don't get a chance to follow that much. I do follow a lot of the sports England are involved in. So, if England are playing cricket, I will watch that. If England are playing rugby, I'll watch that. If Wimbledon's on and there's some English people participating, I'll watch that. Once it gets to like the final, and it's on, I'd, give it a watch. When it comes to the World Cup, I just watch everything. So I do love the World Cup. But, I mean, like, when it comes to even things like cricket, I wouldn't sit down and watch Australia or India. Or I wouldn't be watching, like, New Zealand against Pakistan. Do you know what I mean? Like, I only tend to watch, like, England. So, in a way, I do enjoy sports, but I tend to watch England's participation in them or any English or British athletes or whatever, participants. So, when it comes to American sports... I do support the Toronto Raptors, but I can't say I support them much more than just keeping an eye on their results. American football, I don't have a team that I support, but I love watching the Super Bowl. It's the only one that I tend to watch game each year, and whenever we watch it, I absolutely love it. It's always really enjoyable. Love the spectacle of it. It's always a lot of fun. So yeah, we do watch-alongs for the Super Bowl. Baseball, no. I have been to a live baseball game when I went to America, but I can't say there's any teams that I follow. But yeah, I mean, like, if there was a reason for me to watch, I would watch it. So, like, if there was a big, say, World Series final and there was, like, a real buzz around it, I'd be quite happy to sit down and watch it. I mean, I do just enjoy contests. I do just enjoy watching two teams battle it out to see, or two people battling it out to see who's going to be the best. And I think that's, probably what really got me into pro wrestling and what really got me into boxing, UFC. It's the contest, it's the competition, it's the battle. So, yeah, I mean, we did Olympic watch-alongs. We streamed every day of the Olympics. So, we did Olympics, did Winter Olympics. So... yeah, my passion for sport is pretty far-reaching. I mean, we were sat down watching the US women's softball team at the Olympics, which was great fun, actually. I really enjoyed watching the softball. So, yeah, I would say that it just needs something to grab me. Like, we watched snowboarding at the Winter Olympics, and I was all over, God, what's his name? Shaun White. Like, it was his final go, and he's not British or English, he's American, but he's a legend, and so that was something that could bring me in, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not the kind of person that can just sit there and watch, I don't know, a couple of Koreans, a couple of Europeans, a couple of Mexicans, like, just go down and, like, not have a connection. There's got to be something in it that makes me want to actually watch it. And, like, Shaun White having his final run at the Olympics on the snowboarding, I was right there. Watched it, loved it, really enjoyed it. And, like, when we were watching the softball, like, I just got into the women's team, the USA women's team. So I was just supporting them, really. And I was really enjoying that. So, yeah, I'll watch anything, mate. As long as there's a way in for me, I will watch it. Christian and Matt could be a new team, says Eric. That's interesting. I like that. Larry said, past Winter Olympics got my mother to watch snowboarding and curling. I like curling. I really enjoyed that. But, curling originated, I think I'm right in saying, in Scotland. So the Great Britain team is normally quite competitive. So, I do enjoy watching curling anyway, whenever the Winter Olympics are on, because normally we're quite competitive at it. But, normally I would probably struggle to sit down and watch that if it was like Australia versus, I don't know, Sri Lanka. Who knows? But, again, I just need a way of getting into it. But it's great. It is great. It is really enjoyable. That was one that we watched quite a bit of during the Winter Olympics. Moldy said, do you think if you was a kid these days, you would enjoy the Young Bucks Lucha Bros style of crazy spots and no selling? Yes. Yeah, I think I would, because I think that when you're a kid, you're trying to make sense of what this all is. Certainly I did when I was young. So I've told the story before that I think that I am a bit of a, set in my ways, and I'm quite happy to admit that. I think that I am someone that got into wrestling, and this is where, the fact I don't like supernatural stuff either. It's because I think I've got a very clear idea of what wrestling means to me and what I look for in wrestling. And so, if you look for something in wrestling and that's what you then get, that's what you then enjoy. I mean, if that makes sense. I look for good competition. I look for two people trying to battle it out to become the best. That's what I look for in wrestling. And I think the crazy spots and the supernatural are sort of two sides of the same coin. And this is part of the problem for me, is that, I can watch someone like Gunther and really enjoy Gunther because Gunther lays it in hard. And, he's got his chops and he's brutal and he's really going for it. And everything he does looks like it hurts. Everything he does looks legit. Everything he does looks like a proper wrestling contest. Do you know what I mean? I really respect that. And I feel the same way about Eddie Kingston as well. Like Eddie Kingston, I've got a lot of respect for Eddie Kingston. Love his promos. Love the energy that he brings to the ring. So, again, you always have to be really careful when you say anything like constructive, because it can very quickly become like, oh, you're just hating on AEW. And that's not true. I'm just someone that really knows what they enjoy and knows what they don't enjoy. It's a bit like knowing, what flavored pizzas you like and what pizzas you don't like. Sometimes you're going to get some pizza that you're not a fan of. You're going to get some toppings that you don't enjoy. And for me, that's those kind of crazy ladder matches. So if I was a kid and I hadn't like really figured out what this is, or what I look for in it, maybe I would just enjoy it for what it is. And I think as a kid, you've got the ability to do that. As a kid, I think you do get impressed with these kinds of oh wow, did you see him do that? Did you see him go through that table? Just the spots, I think, would be very, very impressive. So I think as a kid, yes, I think I would be impressed with that. But yeah, I've said before, I can remember watching wrestling, and one of the first matches I saw was Big Boss Man against Nails, and that's a prison officer against a prisoner. And I was like, I mean, you've got to remember, I'm here in England, and I'd never seen wrestling before. It wasn't something that was on TV when I was young. I grew up just after World of Sport, so wrestling was everywhere in Britain, and then it went away. And I grew up when it went away. And so to me, I'd never encountered it. And my cousin showed me WWF, and it's the first time I'd ever seen it. And trying to, as a kid, figure out, okay, what is this? So I mean, it looked like a boxing ring, like they're in a ring and they're fighting, and there's a prison officer that's facing a prisoner, and this is something that's allowed in America. This is what they do, is it? They just let them fight in a ring. And of course, as a kid, when you're first seeing it, you're just totally buying it for what it is. And I was like, I couldn't get my... And if at the time, it was the first one to get the nightstick could use it. And I was like, I can't... And I was engrossed. I couldn't get my head around it. And he can actually use that if he gets it. And it was just these two were fighting, and I'd probably look back at it now and you'd go, botch. Oh, that looks silly. But as a kid, you don't even see those things. And we spoke about that the other day. You don't, if you're under the impression this is real and it's not scripted, you don't even notice botches. I said I never saw one botch when I was a kid. They happened, but I never saw them, because when you are just in the moment watching it and enjoying it for what it is, you don't go, oh, I don't like that spot. And you don't go, oh, I wouldn't have done that. Or, oh, I wouldn't have booked that. Or that never came into my head as a kid. Not once. Not once. Instead, you're just like, wow, I can't believe this. Like, you're just constantly on the ride, you know? I do miss those days. I'd love to go back to those days. Because once you know what the business actually is, then all of a sudden you view it differently. And then you start to go like, well, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that because of this, this, and this. And you might have great reasons as to why you wouldn't have done it. Perfect reasons as to why you wouldn't have done it. And you could be absolutely right. But it does take you out of the moment and out of the match. And what I mean by, like, again, you know, for me, if I grew up watching it, believing it to be real, supernatural things just don't work, do they? They don't work. They don't come into that kind of conversation. Like, you can't watch it and believe it's real and then see a supernatural thing and just believe it and accept it. So for me, like, it was a case of, like, the supernatural stuff has never vibed with me because it's never been what I've looked for or what I've known wrestling to be or what I've enjoyed from wrestling. So if the supernatural stuff doesn't work, then seeing people do spot after spot after spot, spots that very clearly they are setting up. You can actually see them setting ladders up and repositioning themselves. And it's just little things like that that you can see. Like Luchasaurus went and climbed on that table so that he could get jumped on. I mean, that's just silly. It just is silly. That is a silly thing for him to do. He's on the outside. There's tables everywhere. Someone's climbing up top. What's the one thing you wouldn't do? You wouldn't just go, oh, I'll just lie down here, shall I? And just lie on that table. You can either choose to just ignore that and just go with it and just go, oh, it's fine, whatever, right? Or that can bother you, and it bothers me. And, like, you know, it's just constant in these kind of things, you know, constantly just setting things up, people constantly repositioning themselves, spots constantly being, like, you know, set up, tables being stacked. Well, you know someone's going through that table. I mean, people are going to go through those tables. Luchasaurus got knocked into those tables. The crowd were like, oh, wow. Is anyone genuinely surprised at this point in their lives, having seen, like, these matches how many times? And seen those spots done how many times? I mean, does that spot really resonate? I feel like that's a spot that's going to be shared on social media maybe tonight, and it'll be gone by tomorrow, and it won't, do you know what I mean? Maybe not, it won't even be shared, but tonight, because the Christian turn is probably going to overshadow that spot anyway. So Luchasaurus going through those tables just really doesn't even register on my radar. Like, the tables get set up, he gets put through them. I just don't feel any emotion whatsoever when I see it. I just genuinely don't. And again, I don't care if that's Roman. I don't care if that is Gunther. I don't care if that's Asuka. This has got nothing to do with AEW. It just does not register with me. It's just fake set up. You know what's going to happen. You know as soon as them tables are set up, someone's going through them. Don't know. Perhaps I've just seen it too many times and I'm just completely desensitized. But I think if you're a kid and maybe you haven't seen them spots like a million times before, then yeah, maybe you would be like, whoa, oh my God. You know, it really takes something pretty out there now to, like, go make me get that reaction. I did get that reaction recently with the Darby spot. You know, when Darby was on the ladder and, again, chairs set up on the outside, of course. And the ladder, he jumps off the ladder and he comes crashing down. He comes crashing down so close to the top edge of the chair that it looks like he's about to do his back in. Like, it is horrific. It's one of the most horrific spots I've ever seen. Thankfully, he executes it just well enough whereby there's no permanent damage or anything, no serious injury. But it is so close and it is so risky and it is so dangerous that you can't help but look at that and go, oh my God, that is amazing. It's amazing and stupid in equal measure. But, you know, you could say the same thing for Mick Foley. I mean, that when Mick Foley comes off the edge of the cell, that's one of the first times we'd ever seen anything like that. And so, again, you go, do you know what I mean? Like, you lose your mind. And it feels like people are trying to maybe get that reaction again. They're trying to have that moment that's going to have the same impact as the Mick Foley moment. But the truth is, that was one of the first times we'd ever seen anything like that. And wrestling now has done it so many times. Like every ladder match, every cage match, every cell match, every kind of, those type matches, blood and guts, whatever it might be, anarchy in the arena, whatever it might be. They just constantly are looking for those big, shocking moments, and you just can't do it that regular. The reason why the Mick Foley one was so shocking was because we hadn't seen anything like it before. In fact, in WWE, I reckon before that, and I could be wrong, but before that, I reckon you might have to go back to Superfly. Superfly on top of the cage against, was it Don Morocco? And he does that massive splash off the top of the cage. That is historic. It's amazing. It's not the biggest spot in the world, is it? I mean, he jumps off the top of a cage. I mean, we've seen stuff like Cody did it in AEW. So it's not sometimes it's not the size of the spot, but it's just like how impactful that moment is and how significant it is. And that was one of the first times that I honestly can't think of anything before that. Before Superfly did that. Superfly coming off the cage is one of the most iconic spots. And then I think you've really got to go to 98 and go to like Mick Foley. And then like in between, there was ladder matches and there was like things done with ladders and, but I don't think there's really any moments in like the ladder matches, like the Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon ladder matches that I think is kind of really remembered that much. They're more remembered as great matches more than like the spots that were in them. And then I would say probably Edge spearing Jeff Hardy might be the next big spot that like really resonated with people. But, with these shows now, I think the way that they're so desperate for ratings, they just try too often to try and like register and try and shock and try and get like, memeable moments. I think social media and trying to get memeable moments is a real problem. It's a really interesting question, though. I do like that question from Moldy. Like, if I was a kid, would it have an impact on me? Because I think the answer is yeah. I do think the answer is yeah. But as I said, for me, I can't buy the supernatural stuff because it doesn't. It's not what I look for in wrestling. I want Thunder Rosa who lays it in hard. I want Serena Deeb. I want Daniel Bryan Danielson. I want Eddie Kingston. I want Gunther. I want those performers that I can believe in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would love the old NWA days where you had, like, Harley Race going around just being a bad man. Do you know what I mean? Like, Dusty Rhodes and, that's where wrestling has come from. So, like, supernatural stuff that I can't believe in, that's one side of the coin. And then all these, like, spots that are clearly fake and these things that are clearly set up and these matches that seem to have no effects. I mean, the stuff they do in these matches just constantly, like hurricanranas being dropped on their heads. I mean, it was not that long ago that a DDT from like here, bang, that would be a finisher for Jake the Snake Roberts. Whereas now, like the amount of spots that we see, I mean, I think about what those performers put themselves through. It's just constant. It's just like how. It does feel like we've gone way too far. It feels now to me, and again, I'm not ranting, just sharing my thoughts. It feels to me like when the finish comes, it feels more like a relief than it does feel like the actual natural conclusion to the end of the match. Like, there's so many false finishes and there's so much damage that is taken during the matches. There's so many times in a match where I think to myself, that should end there. That should finish this match, and it doesn't. And it keeps going, and it's like, okay, that should end it, and it doesn't. And it keeps on going. And it gets to the point where you're like, this is silly. This is now silly. Like, they are not seriously selling the effects of, like, what they're doing. Those big table spots that they did right near the start of the match, that should have ended the match. That should be it. I mean, they got driven through tables. Like, it should be a case that they are down, they are out, not, back to full health moments later. So, yeah, it's what I expected. It's what I expected from these kind of matches. It's what we got. But yeah, that's why I always struggle with them. But if I was a kid, I wouldn't think about any of that stuff. I don't think. I think I'd just be really impressed with the spots. Hustle for Love said, "Have you ever been to a live pay-per-view event in the US?" No. No, I haven't. I have been to the US, and I have actually been to a wrestling show in the US as well, and I loved it. I went to NXT down in Tampa, and if you ever get a chance to go, I really recommend it. I don't know about AEW. I mean, I'd recommend going to AEW if you're an AEW fan, of course, but I feel like they probably, even their house shows, are played to quite large crowds. But NXT Tampa is, no joke, a community hall. I went on holiday. I mean, I live in England, right? So I went on holiday to Florida, went to loads of Walmarts, Targets, all this kind of stuff. And there was a, community hall, gymnasium type place. I think it was a community center. And I went there to watch NXT, and there could have been no more than 200-300 people in the room. Probably, about what you would expect to see at an NXT TV taping, but maybe even less. And I went there, and I was watching Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Viking Raiders, Keith Lee. Like, it was the proper tour. It was incredible. Like, I saw Viking Raiders against Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. My tickets that I had were not that expensive, and I was about the third row. But it wouldn't even have mattered, because I think the thing only went back about 6 or 7 rows. And as I said, there must have been a few hundred people in there. It was funny because I saw a picture of the venue that I had gone to, and NXT were there again. It said hashtag NXT Tampa, and I recognized the room, and I was like, oh my God, that's where I went to. And in the ring was Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels had come out at the start of the NXT show to say thank you to the fans and I hope you're in for a good night tonight type thing. Shawn was there in the ring just talking to 200-300 people. The fact that goes on now and there's not more people that go to it blows my mind. I can't even begin to fathom why people don't go to that more. And do you know what I mean? Even if you're not a fan of NXT, just go in just to see. I mean, you never know who you're going to see, but I mean, Bron Breakker is pretty cool. And they've got some decent stars that are coming through that are going to go on to be big deals on the main roster. Is everyone going to? No, because of course Vince isn't going to see the value in everyone. But there will be people like Bron Breakker. Maybe Gacy stands a chance. Maybe Von Wagner stands a chance. I think Carmelo Hayes stands a chance. There's a lot of praise at the moment for Wes Lee, who I think stands a chance. Toxic Attraction look pretty good. I think they stand a chance. I can see there being a good chunk of these that will at least get their opportunity on the main roster. And you could say you saw him in a room of 200 people. I went to that show, and after the main event, and the main event was Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler, Marina Shafir, and Jessamine Duke. That was the main event. And everyone went after the match was over, apart from Kairi Sane. And Kairi Sane went around and met everyone and anyone that wanted to meet her. She went all the way around the barricades, did a full 360 loop. And if you wanted to meet her, you could meet her. And I did. There is a picture of me with Kairi Sane. I wonder if I can find it, actually. As I was talking, then I was like, I wonder if I can find it. But I did get a chance to meet Kairi Sane at this show. And she was absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. I said to her, I was like, thank you so much for taking the time to meet me. You were fantastic tonight. She was like, oh, thank you. And she was so polite. And I was like, do you mind if I just get a quick picture? And she was like, yeah. She was absolutely lovely. So, no, to answer your question, I have not been to a pay-per-view, but I have been to that show, and I absolutely loved it, and I would really, really recommend anyone go along to that. And as I said, I don't know about AEW. I don't know if AEW are, do you know what I mean, like in a bigger venue. There it is. That's me without a beanie on, slicked back hair. And there's Kairi Sane at NXT. It's cool, isn't it? I like that. It's a good picture. And as I said, I wasn't lucky at all. She went round and met absolutely anyone and everyone that wanted to meet her. She was absolutely lovely. Hustle for Love said, see you Friday night. See you later, buds. Appreciate the support. Let me end the poll. Let me click on this as well. Wrestling Wriggle said, I need storytelling in the ring. Can make for a great match. Watched Morales, Pedro Morales, Ivan Putski, Bruno, and many more in the 1970s. Watched Morocco snooker match also. I was a kid then, and it was great then. Yeah, I agree. I mean, storytelling, I think is quite easy to achieve if you set the stage right. So, you know, as I said, for me, when I was a kid, I watched Big Boss Man and I watched Nails. And, you know, WWE do a good job of giving you the video package just before the match starts. I think, you know, as a fan, we can, as you, like, watch a lot of it, you can get a bit like, oh, recap video package. But I do appreciate them, in all fairness, because I have watched wrestling with people that don't watch wrestling, and those video packages are super important. And when you're first getting into wrestling, like, you really do need those recaps to kind of bring you up to speed with what the stories are. So I those video packages massively help. So for me, going into it, it's, you know, it's a prison officer, it's Nails. They give you a bit of a history of, like, you know, how we got to the match, and then, you know, what it does is it sets the scene as to, it gives you the reason as to why they're fighting. This is why they're fighting, basically. And it sets the table. The actual match itself, like, you can have stories within matches. Of course you can. I mean, Kenny and Okada had a great series of matches, and part of their story was that Okada just couldn't hit the one-winged angel on... Kenny couldn't hit the one-winged angel on Okada, and it was really interesting because it was like, what's going to happen when he does? And of course, during, I can't remember if it was the second or the third match, but he does finally get it, the one-winged angel, which is his finishing move. And for those that haven't seen those matches, I'll let you watch them and see what happens. But, you know, you'd seen, like, just that was one of many stories. I mean, there's some lovely selling. You know, you see it quite often where people target different body parts, really working on them. And, you know, maybe it's a body part that's critical to their finishing move. You know, and as a result, like, maybe it takes that finishing move away from them. And if they don't have their finishing move, well, how are they going to win the match? So there are lots of different ways you can actually tell stories during a match. I don't necessarily need that. It's something that I appreciate. But if we're talking storytelling during a match, then I think you can get it. It's not an essential ingredient for me. But I do need to know a reason why they're fighting. I think that you can still have great matches between two people that don't have a history. I think it is still possible to put them in the ring and have such a compelling, you know, contest. I think it just, you know, there's lots of different ways and things that you can lean on, be it selling, be it really crisp execution, you know, great timing, great agility, power. I mean, there's so many different elements that go into wrestling that you can lean on to kind of really bring an audience in. And for me, you know, I look for realism. I do look for realism, and I do look for a contest, and I do look for, you know, some of those nice crisp executions. I mean, That's why I really appreciated what Ospreay did in his match today. Some of his executions were great. And Dax with his German suplexes and the arching of those. You know, I get enjoyment out of that. Watching someone execute moves with such a high level of accuracy and perfection, I really get something from that, and I really do enjoy watching. Like, it feels like you're watching a specialist. It feels like you are watching like the best in the world, and there's something quite satisfying about watching the best in the world at something. And so I get something out of that as well. Or, you know, someone's got like incredible strength, and you know, there's something like kind of satisfying in that also. But yeah, everyone's different. Everyone looks for different things. There's different parameters. You know, as I said before, it's a bit of a smorgasbord, isn't it? You just won't find really a promotion that's going to satisfy you all of the time, because there's so many different things that can happen in wrestling. So it's not necessarily a problem, but yeah, it just goes to, I think it's good to know what you like and, you know, what you don't like, and just kind of try and find a promotion that kind of tailors more to your taste. I think with AEW, they do a very good job of giving me a lot of what I like, but they you know, as I said, they do mix it in with some rubbish as well. Like, that Wardlow segment was rubbish. But I'm certainly not going to sit here and say that WWE don't do you know what I mean? They do the exact same thing. I'm not going to say they do anything any different. You know, I can sit down and watch some really good stuff in WWE. Really enjoyed Cody and Seth. It's been brilliant. Really enjoy watching Asuka. Really enjoyed Gunther. Really enjoyed Roman Reigns' title run. Like, all of that stuff is tick, 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 tick. Lovely stuff. Equally, I have to sit down and I have to watch Miz and Morrison. Do you know what I mean? I have to watch that. I have to watch... to be honest, it's been a little better recently, but there's still been some, like, really... I have to watch flipping New Day versus Brawling Brutes every week of my life. Just again and again, just different variations of the same thing again and again and again. So, yeah, there's, I don't know, breaking news. There's good and bad in wrestling. Just got to find what you enjoy, haven't you? But Wrestling Wriggle, shout out to you. Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate the support. Right, I think I've held many of you hostage. I think when you get loads of people saying, I'm going now, I'm bye for now. Once you get loads of people using your own bye for now emoji, like, against you as, like, a hint to, like, shut the stream down, you're talking too long type situation, that is definitely an indicator to go. So I'm going to go. But appreciate the support. I hope you enjoyed the show. We are back again on Friday for SmackDown. So looking forward to seeing what they can bring to the party. Of course, we will have Rampage as well. So we will be watching that also as we continue to build towards Forbidden Door. Awesome, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.